Hey everybody, this is Mike with the CatchAll back again. This time I have Jason White, owner of Yakima Reclaimed and a former Yakima City Councilmember, and we are going to get into it. All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I'm Jason White. Grew up in Southeast Yakima. Family's been in the area for probably close to 70 years. So we have a long history in Southeast Yakima and stayed here. Chose to stay in the same area. You know, I lived just a few minutes away. I still live downtown Yakima. Started Yakima Reclaimed about 4 or 5 years ago. You know, I just saw is what kind of got me inspired to do that was seeing the all these old growth trees coming down in Yakima and basically just being chopped up into firewood, being thrown away, discarded. And I saw the wealth that was East Yakima, because I grew up down there. It used to be like the wealthy side of the town, you know, so we all these huge homes, and then you'll have some newer stuff come in. But I grew up in this historic part of Yakima and seen the wealth, but seen it deteriorate over time since we've been in my parents had been in their house since 92, their current home right now. So, you know, just seeing all that inspired me. I knew that that some of the artistic abilities and that products of super high quality could come out of Yakima, and that I could make a product, and that people from Yakima that didn't have the highest skill sets or background could make a super high quality product, and that Yakima Reclaimed could be, you know, making high quality products. And so my intent was to create a company that funded other ventures.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, more like a for-profit model, but like a non-for-profit mission type, where we could train people to do this stuff and do more educational side of it. Okay. You know, but, you know, just building the business right now, basically it's just currently my job, you know, doing that. But I was able to, you know, it took me a long time. My whole goal was to stay downtown Yakima, which is a huge obstacle no matter which way you look at it. You have so much to overcome. The buildings are trash. People are zombied out, you know, shitting on your doorstep, literally.
And it's not easy to get around downtown either.
No, you know, there's, you know, parking, but there's Main Street appeal. So I'm on South First Street, 120 South First Street.
Okay. So you're right down in the district down there. Yeah.
And I mean, like, I grew up literally 4 blocks east, you know, on 107 South 8th Street is my childhood home. Okay. So I'm on the same block, just 5 blocks over.
Okay. I grew up down there too on 6th Street, North 6th Street.
Yeah, that's where we originally first moved. No, that's where we lived originally, is North 6th Street.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where at? Do you remember?
Probably down by the Boise Cascade.
Okay.
So J, something like that, past J.
Because I lived where that 7-Eleven is on 6th Street, and you go down like a block and a half. I lived right there. My old house is now a vacant lot. It was like a weird townhouse that they converted into like a couple apartments. Yeah, it was weird. But after we left there, it became like this crazy drug den. Like, we got out at the right time, and I'm so happy that we did, because who knows, I probably could have got into that.
That's a common theme, you know,
especially in Yakima.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
I mean, yeah, we lived on South Natchez, which is the
oh god,
literally in the center of they have these new drug zones or something like that. There's a couple of them, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I lived right in front of it, and it's kind of funny because, I mean, it's bad, but it's not that bad, because these people that are drugged out now, they're in their own world.
Yeah. So
like literally, they might be fighting, yelling, but they have no interest in me and what you're doing.
Right.
Nobody's there messing with their house or nothing like that. You know, they might be laying in the sidewalk trying to get the kids to school kind of problems, more so than, but they're usually just they're so far gone now.
Yeah.
They're no longer like the days of the tweaker that you had to worry about your car getting jacked and stuff getting stolen.
They're all fentanyl out.
Yeah, they're just zombied out. Yeah, I mean, it's looking at them and
it's sad.
It's sad. It's really sad, and unfortunately, it's like people I grew up with, that are now passing away and or zombied out. It's just sad because you can't. I mean, you can't do anything to help these people. They're so far gone. It's not
you can't help them unless they want to help.
Yeah, and they got to really want it. I tried to help my nephew out recently, and that just backfires. And they don't. They basically have to hit rock bottom just like everybody and come to it. And
I've had a couple of friends that have been there that I've tried to help. Talking to them or try and be there for them, and some of them come out of it. But I've lost a couple of friends from overdosing on drugs or just losing everything, and it's just crazy how fucking fucked up the world is right now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I guess it probably always has been, but just like lately, within the last like 10, 15 years, I've been really open and seeing it more and more and more. It seems like
it's a lot worse, and people are a lot less healthy now overall. Mm-hmm. I mean, even the healthy people are less healthy than they were 10, 20, 30 years ago. The drug I remember growing up because my brother was a rougher kid, but by today's standards, he would look normal. Like he was a rough outcast person, doing cocaine, or something, and like now that's just like, oh, that's your
typical rich person, Friday night guy at the bar.
Yeah. It's totally changed, and the health of people has changed. So it's like you have this compounding effect with people now, and overall general health because food is decayed so much and it's so toxic.
Well, they spray everything and they fill it full of shit now.
Yeah.
Most of our food nowadays, you can't even import it to other countries because they have bans on our food.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah. I try to tell people, I'm like, you don't have a gluten intolerant. You have a glyphosate intolerance.
Yeah.
You're intolerant to toxins. Yeah. It's literally pesticides that they're spraying on your food. And
most of those people, they go to different countries that don't spray.
Yeah.
And they have gluten, and they have no issues.
Yeah, or just any issue of food, just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can eat the food. They go down there and eat whatever they want, and they're just magically fine, know? And like, for me, sourcing food right now is so difficult and expensive. Mm-hmm. For me to make a pizza from scratch with heirloom stuff, and it's like $50.
Yeah.
It's literally about $50 to make a good sauce.
Yeah.
It get like non-toxic
and that's
stuff.
all by design too.
Yeah.
They want you to be able to just go to Safeway or Walmart and pick up a thing of tomatoes for $2 or get a thing of sauce for $4.
Yeah. And be thinking you're doing something good.
Yeah.
And you're just
I'm making it myself. But no, you didn't make the sauce yourself. You didn't make the crust yourself.
Or you didn't grow those tomatoes.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that would have been, 50 years ago now. Yeah. I think a huge percentage of people were growing their own food. And now you have like nobody growing their own food, Well,
if you look at our grandparents and great-grandparents, most of them were growing their own foods because they didn't have the convenience of just going to the grocery store whenever they wanted and picking up strawberries in January.
Yeah.
They had to either barter or trade, or they did buy some stuff, obviously, because they did have some trading stuff back and forth, but they didn't have all the stuff that we have nowadays where you can flash freeze apples and they last a whole year in the freezer, like they do in the cold storage. And then like a lot of people don't realize the apples are getting this year or last year's crops, and they're like, what? And when you tell people that, they're like, no, all that shit they picked this year, you're not getting that.
No,
the top bidders are, but you're not getting it.
No, those are going to Japan or something.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're paying top dollar for it.
Yeah.
The people around here, they're paying jack shit for apples and like, oh, it's because it's in our backyard. No, it's because you're getting last year's crops.
And we're getting the crap. We're getting like the worst of the worst in Yakima.
Yeah.
It's like, I go to other cities, I'm like, okay, that's a Honeycrisp.
Yeah.
Juicy, fresh, big.
Right.
And I go to the same stores in Yakima, it's like, it's just crap. It's soggy mush, it's like not fresh. And even that, it's still, just how bad it is too. And, and so some of these things are, for me, it's a little bit promising that at least like, RFK is at least talking about it for mainstream, like getting it out there that he's been suing these people, like because that's what has to happen is like these people have to be sued by anybody and everybody. They have to be gone after, and because it's.
I'm honestly surprised the guy hasn't been shot at yet.
Yeah. I mean,
he shot at Trump twice.
Yeah,
if you believe that's real or not, but they haven't even shot at RFK.
Yeah,
yet.
and he's still alive magically, and he's actually come out and spoke out against his family members and the corruption in those botched assassinations, that they were not, as the narrative said, that they were
right
behind. There was an inside job.
Oh yeah,
and the bullets came from random areas, and they didn't come from the shooter. And he'll come out and say that stuff, and just that fact that exposure.
But he's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
but then so are we.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you have to be crazy. If you're not crazy, you are absolutely insane.
Yeah, I'd rather be thought of as a crazy person by someone that's dumber than a box of rocks.
Yeah, they're buying all this stuff. Yeah, because I mean,
everything they hear on the TV, they just buy. And if they don't buy it all, they buy most of it or some of it. I don't buy any of it.
And that's one thing. Like, I used to lose my ever loving mind 5 or 10 years ago explaining this to people now, and now they're telling me right. I'm like, yeah, or even I mean, and it's not even that. It doesn't even take that long anymore. I'll be telling somebody something like 2 months ago, or I'll just mention it beforehand, before everybody knows about it.
All right.
I'll be like, yeah, next it'll be the aliens, and they'll be like, oh, whatever. And then next it's the aliens, the alien talk.
They just did the UFO fucking disinform, or they brought out all the UFO shit. Yeah. The Air Force and all the government stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, we've known of UFOs. And it's like, we fucking know that you guys known of UFOs. We see them.
Yeah.
But they've just been denying them. But now but that has something to do with the whole Project Bluebeam shit that's going on.
Yeah, and you don't even know.
Agenda 30 and all that shit.
Yeah, and we don't even know. I mean, that technology is like the tic-tac-toe stuff, and the whatever technology that they're using is not the same technology that it's not the phony-ass Einsteinian physics that we're operating on right now. It's etheric technology and whatever else they can do,
Yeah, because the ether is real.
Yeah, and the plane might not be a plane.
Right.
It might be just a completely different craft that's identifying as or making itself be a plane.
Well, you hear about the Nazi Bell. You hear about the Nazi Bell back in the day. Even the normal history books will mention a Nazi Bell, but then they just go, oh, it was just an experimental thing that never did anything with. But it's very possible with magnetics, mercury, and spinning.
Yeah.
You can get levitation.
Yeah.
And you can control it, with certain apparatuses. You can control it. And it doesn't have to have any, propulsion system or anything like that we're that we're used to with like a rocket or airplane or anything like that. It doesn't follow normal physics that we've been told, because normal physics now are complete bullshit.
Yeah. And that's why we haven't had any major technological advances in the last 100 years. Yeah. It's just a refinement of it's basically a refinement of all Nikola Tesla operating under real physics, right. And he was doing real experiments. And so there's been a refinement of everything. And when the ether,
electrical universe, gravity's not real, density.
No, it's all torsion fields.
Yeah.
Everything's torsion fields. And even the atom, it's that's why it could be anywhere, because it's a torsion field. And when you look at it, now you see the atoms that make up whatever you want it to make up.
Well, and that's not only that, but here's the thing with the atoms is if it's 99% empty space, then why is this that's made of atoms completely solid?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, none of it.
Theoretically, 99% empty, 99% empty should be able to just pass right through it.
Yeah.
But our physics says that we don't do that because whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, well, if I had 99% air blowing into 99% air, it would just pass right through each other. Obviously there's some interaction, but it still goes through.
Yeah.
Same thing with this, but
it's there. You definitely know it's there, even though it's, yeah, I know. And and
you get some science people on here who can fucking tell me whatever. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, I mean but they mean how much of it, I think we're all under this stage of discovery right now, no matter what.
It's the age of Aquarius coming up.
Yeah, and well, it's not only age of Aquarius, but we're going in from the Iron Age of civilization to a Bronze Age of civilization. So it's like we're getting exposed to all these advancements in thought, in technology,
right,
and or in every way exposure.
Well, all that stuff goes hand in hand.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you told someone 100 years ago about a cell phone, they'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah, you'd be crazy.
But nowadays, a 5-year-old knows how to use a cell phone. So our knowledge evolves with the technology that we are accustomed to during the era. So 100 years from now, they can tell us about something, and we'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah, yeah.
What is that? I have no idea how. I don't even know how to conceptualize that in my brain.
It's
and they're
funny.
like, "Oh, that's just." You just have it. Everybody has one.
Well, and even this, because I follow Cliff High, he talks a lot about woo stuff and breaks down. Are you familiar with Cliff High?
Cliff High.
Yeah, he's a computer programmer, linguist, and so he built these linguistic models that would predict the future, basically, and podcasts. He was doing this. He was doing these linguistic analysis in the early 2000s. And one of them was about a podcast, but he didn't know what a podcast was in the early 2000s. Right. There was no knowledge or no reference points to a podcast even.
Right.
That was like 15 years ago.
Right.
And look how big it is now. And like, so one of them was, it was like, they were giving him this temporal marker. He was like, they give him data, and it's like this one podcast with, or this show or whatever it was with Joe Rogan and Trump. And it was a huge temporal marker of moving us into this new world of a sci-fi world.
Right.
And you see it now because like people there's literally free energy being made right now. Like literally units being developed, marketed, or like manufacturing free energy right now. Right. Etheric, perpetual free energy that will literally last. Like I pre-ordered one, $250 for a 100-watt unit for the first generation. Yeah. They just did a electric car, hooked one up to an electric car, and it charges more over the day. Driving it for a full day. It continues to charge because of this generator, this.
But according to thermodynamics, that should not be possible.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And they told them that they would, all the physicists, you can't do that. You can't do, well, we're doing it, and people are going to be able to replicate these things.
Well, Tesla did it back in the day. And even ancient, if you believe it, ancient technology was already tapped into that, hundreds if not thousands of years ago.
Yeah. And that's one big thing I've been looking into, like
the whole
Tartaria.
Tartaria?
Yeah, Tartaria.
Yeah, my man.
Yeah, like there's so many of these buildings, and America had all these buildings, and you look at these World Fairs, and you look at the first photos, and you're like, that looks really old.
Yeah.
And why is that tree grow? Why is that 8-foot wide tree growing right next to the building?
Right.
Like this is hundreds of years old, and you start to get this whole the more you dive into, you just realize that it's all a lie.
Yeah.
Not a little bit.
No.
All of it.
Pretty much everything that we've been taught in public school, with the exception of a few things here and there. Because they do sprinkle in a little truth here and there.
Have to, yeah.
But they kind of just gloss over that stuff.
Oh, yeah. They'll just tell you that, these settlers 150 years ago or 250 years ago came out here, built these 100,000 square foot building in a horse and buggy. Yeah. There's 400 guys, and they did it in a year.
Extravagant, detailed monuments.
Immaculate, statues, whole cities.
Churches made of stone. Yeah. Completely, and they did that by hand and chisel.
Yeah, hand and chisel. And you'll ask an architect today, how long would that take to build? With how many guys would you need? They'll be like, I couldn't do that in 10 years with
10,000 people.
Infinite resources. And it's just and it's everywhere. It's the same exact architectures all around the world in these places that you would in the Philippines and Guatemala and China and.
Well, they just did a whole, what was it? What is that called? LiDAR, I believe, over the Amazon, and they found a shit ton of hidden cities over there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I already know there's hidden cities there, anyways. Yeah, because how could there not be? But they're finding all these hidden cities, and they're like hidden cities in the Amazon that could have housed tens of thousands of people. Yeah. And people are like, there's no way people could live out there. It's like, they have been for ages.
Well,
why wouldn't they now? And not that they do,
yeah.
but they have.
Yeah.
You know,
even the plants there are planted.
Yeah.
That's just overgrown. Probably like a permaculture thing. Overgrown. Yeah. Those are actually planted. Now they're saying, oh, well, these look like they're actually planted here and overgrown now. And it's like, now it's a jungle. And yeah, I mean, like if you don't maintain anything, if you're in a well hydrated area, things are going to take off.
You got the river and it's got good, it's got sun, it's got the water, fresh water. And then the ground is probably very fertile because humans haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah.
It's, and regardless if humans are there or not, that permaculture helps with the agriculture there. Yeah. Because the mono agriculture that we have nowadays destroys the land.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually just listening to a guy, was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember his name. I'll have to look it up. But he owns a permaculture farm down in Wisconsin. No, somewhere down on the east, probably south side, about 106 acres. And it's all permaculture, and he doesn't have like almost any expense in a year because he has the animals that feed off some of the plants. They shit and they self-fertilize and everything. And all those plants, this plant keeps these bugs away, which helps this plant do this. And it's like, bro, that's how it should have been. That's how nature has always been.
Yeah.
But then we're like, we find the desirables. We're like, oh, we can eat that, but we don't need that. Yeah. So let's do this. And then they spray it with shit to keep bugs away. And it's like, dude, if you just planted those, you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's nice seeing that people are getting back to some of that, but not anywhere on a mass scale like it should be.
No. And it will take, it takes like extreme measures for change. Like people don't just change because they want to. And, like it has to be like, and I think that people are starting to see just how bad it really is and just how important food is. Like I think internally I've known it since like high school, like I was going to be a dietitian.
Yeah. But
then I realized none of that made sense. Even back then I'm like 14 years old. I'm like, they anti-butter and, phase when I growing up in the 90s and 2000, like butter was the worst thing on the planet.
Yeah. Seed oils.
Now seed oils. Yeah. I mean, now we know how bad seed oils are and how great butter is, and
butter and saturated fats and stuff like that are fantastic for you. Obviously in moderation. You don't want to just eat a fucking stick of butter. But even if you did, it's not going to hurt you. If you just drank a whole thing of vegetable oil, you'd probably die.
Yeah. Like literally, I'm eating this bag of chips, Tostitos, taste phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
I'm having fucking heart palpitations and shit. Can't breathe at night going to bed. I'm like, that is insanely bad when you can eat some chips and have that bad of a reaction. I mean, because like if you eat butter, you're only going to eat so much because it's going to fill you up. Like, and you're not going to have any negative effects whatsoever. I mean, if it's
you might feel a little sick to your stomach or something.
I might vomit just the texture or something. I don't know, but it's just insane how bad our quote unquote food is when it's not food because
it's our diet.
It's poison. It should be labeled like here's something I like this quote unquote food that's in the grocery store should have a fucking yuck sticker. It should have to be labeled
or a
poisonous.
black box.
Yeah.
Black box label like the vaccines do.
Yeah, because organic food is just food. And all the rest of the stuff is toxic as fuck. It's poison.
Yeah, it should just say food, not food. Like not food.
Yeah, it's not food. It's eat at your own risk. You know, whatever. If they're going to make it, at least that's, it would definitely, obviously it's going to, we know that the reason why they don't do it is profit margins. And, I don't think that the food manufacturers are in it to kill everybody off. They're just there to make money. And if you allow them to throw in some cheap chemical that's going to make their food brighter and more appealing and cheaper, and they're going to take it, because it's at the end of the day for them, it's all numbers.
It's all filler chemicals.
Yeah.
But the thing is you got to think the Food and Drug Administration.
Yeah.
You know those fuckers are in cahoots.
Well, yeah.
So the food poisoned you.
Yeah.
And then you go to the drug companies to help fix the problem that the food is causing you. Yeah. And then they kill you even more. They make you into a permanent customer.
Yeah.
Because they're not assessing the root problem.
Yeah.
They're just putting a Band-Aid on your owie.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I got stomach issues. And it's like, oh, you probably have acid reflux. Start taking these acid reflux pills every day.
For that.
And then you're good. And it's like, well, what are you eating?
Yeah.
Well, I'm eating McDonald's once a day, and I drink soda all the time, and I don't work out, and I do this and I do that. And it's like, well, there's your fucking issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Start drinking water. Don't eat McDonald's every day. You don't have to go crazy drastic right off, 360 or 180 or whatever. Just stop eating it every day. Eat it like maybe once a week or once every other or every couple of days.
Yeah.
And then start eating actual food. Have a salad. An actual salad,
Yeah,
or get some organic foods and get them in your body. Go eat a steak.
Yeah.
Go eat some chicken, actual chicken, not the fried shit that comes frozen.
Not those nuggets there.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good. Don't get me wrong. I love them, but.
And you'll notice that once you get on a decent diet of just whole foods, a whole food diet, whatever that is. And, I've done bodybuilding and everything like that, but I've always been one hand in the nutrition side, and now I'm learning that it's just the basics. Like once you go back to a high quality meat, because meat heals, you go to a raw milk, and
we drink raw milk,
and like there's just like you do those few things and you're going to be healthier than the average person. Like doing 4 eggs every day, doing 4 whole eggs. Had so many nutrients in there that it will change your life if you're not doing it. Like there's so much nutrition.
Well, even first thing in the morning, there's all your energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That protein's going to give you fucking energy. You don't need a cup of coffee.
No,
you need a couple eggs and try and wean off the coffee because that's why you're crashing, because that caffeine gives you that adrenaline right then and there. But then after a while, it dies off.
Yeah,
where that protein and stuff is more longer lasting.
Yeah.
Like a protein bar. Obviously, protein bars are trash, but same concept. It's a longer lasting, more fulfilling type of energy rather than that. That's why they drink 3-4 cups of coffee a day.
Yeah. See, I get up and drink my coffee every day as a ritual, but coffee is not created equal. Just like anything.
Yeah.
And so
if you find a good organic coffee,
and what you put in it.
Yeah, exactly.
See, because
if you put a bunch of sugar and flavors and shit.
Yeah. See, I put like an organic heavy whipping cream and then cacao powder.
Okay. Yeah.
So I get all these like it's a boosting to my health. Like, it's releasing stem cells. It's the fats are there. The energy's there. Yeah. So I don't have these crashes from it. Like I'll have my cup of coffee in the morning as a ritual, not because I need the energy or anything, but and then I'm going to do salt too in the morning, like because 80-90% of people we're all super dehydrated.
Yep.
Doctors are going to tell you to stay away from salt, so it's good for you.
Yeah.
So
we do salt. I do salt every day.
Yeah, I do salt under my tongue in the morning. First thing, drink some water.
I do mine with I do just a pinch of salt. We do Icelandic flake salt that we got from Crucial 4 because it's one of the best ones out there.
Yeah.
I do that in a cup, and I put some organic coconut water, no sugar added or anything like that, on there for electrolytes and some hydration.
Yeah.
And then I do a little bit of orange juice because I don't really like the coconut flavor.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
But orange juice does help mask it. And also orange juice is good for you too because it's got vitamin C and D and all that shit. Yeah. As long as it's good stuff. And then I spin that up, and I have that in the morning with whatever food I'm having. And usually it consists of either some type of organic oatmeal or some type of organic peanut butter or even like a Greek yogurt or something.
Yeah.
And because I can't do eggs right now because my fucking gallbladder, I'm trying to work on it because it inflames it. But eventually I would love to go back to eggs because we get farm fresh eggs, and it sucks because it's like I can't have them because it fucks up my stomach.
Yeah.
So I'm working on it.
Yeah, and that's
with my natural path, by the way, not the doctor.
Yeah.
A natural path.
A doctor is just going to give you drugs for that or take it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right. That's probably what a normal doctor would want to do.
Yeah. He's like, we would just cut it out, and my naturopath was like, no, we're not going to do that. That's the very, very last thing that should be on your mind is getting that cut out.
So what's your naturopath solution for your gallbladder?
So he had me on a regimen of these different herbs and stuff to help cleanse it and just clean it out.
Yeah.
And then, he's going to eventually have me do an apple juice cleanse or apple cider cleanse.
Cleanse?
Yep. So basically what you do is you take, unfiltered organic apple cider.
With mothers and all that.
Yeah. And then you drink it. I can't remember how many times a day. You don't drink anything. You don't eat or drink anything else. Water, nothing. So you basically a fast for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And then you take a cup of some type of oil and you chug that right before you go to bed. And then you lay on this side. And then basically what that does, if you do it wrong, you're going to be thrown up and spend some time in the hospital.
Yeah.
But when you do it, you'll be like basically cleaning all that shit out of there. And he's done it. I mean, this guy fucking knows everything. This guy is one of those guys that when I first went and saw him, he looked at me and he kind of talked to me for a few minutes and did a couple things. And he goes, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. It's really fucking weird, but he didn't say it like that, but I'm going to ask you some questions. It might be kind of weird, but when you're laying in a room or when you're driving down the road, does the fan have to be blowing on you? And I'm like, yeah, how did you know that? And he goes, I can just tell. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell? So that right there, without me even indicating to him, he can tell that from me. He can obviously tell other things about me that I didn't even think, they're just subconscious. Yeah. So this guy obviously knows what the hell he's talking about. Yeah. So I trust him 100%. And not only that, but he's conspiracy minded as well. Yeah. So he's a good guy on our side, which is awesome. But he has that for me as a last resort, but he has me on some different herbs and supplements, natural herbs and supplements to help clean it out. And then he said that's like a last resort. If it just doesn't work, then we're going to do that. Yeah. So,
and that's what I'm very similar. I could look at people and be like, I can tell you have X, Y, and Z problems, and I'll tell you what you need. And like, because everyone's like, it almost feels like a badge of honor for people to have a disease nowadays. Well, I have such and such, so I can't do that. I'm like,
I'm autistic,
or whatever it is. It's like a badge of honor.
It's like the new thing is being autistic.
I can't do that because I have this. Yeah, and autism is like
or I'm neurodivergent, or
and whatever condition it is too, especially autoimmune. Yeah. Autoimmune is all the same shit.
Parasites.
You're.
Some of it's parasites. I know that.
Yeah, well,
could be.
Parasites could be a problem but parasites are taking all your minerals. Mm-hmm. It's a mineral deficiency. It's a vitamin and mineral deficiencies. Autoimmune conditions are always vitamin immune. And how could be a parasite. Yeah. So that could be a how. And we should be doing parasite cleanses twice a year or regularly.
My wife did that.
Yeah.
She was diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease, and a lot of doctors were like, no, you're just crazy, or they were misdiagnosing her with other things. We went to a doctor over in New York. I can't remember his name, pretty well known. He did a parasite cleanse on her. Now she can hold a job. Now she can be a mom. She has a normal life, where at one point she was stuck in bed all day. Yeah. So he turned her around completely, and now she has a quality of life that she's never experienced before.
And parasites are so much more common than, because in the 80s or whatever, doctors were literally told to stay the fuck away from parasites. American Western doctors were literally, because in the 70s it was taught, it was number one, check for parasites, check for parasites, and they were like, you're going to solve all the fucking problems if you keep checking for parasites. You shut your fucking mouth.
Right.
Stop looking at parasites and figure out what drugs we can give them here.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what happened.
Because there's money in it.
Yeah. There's no money in solving parasites. Parasite like fenbendazole and all these anti-parasitical drugs. And you'll be like, how come all of these cures of COVID are all anti-parasite drugs?
Right.
And how come I could take, literally, I just take, my number one thing is oil of oregano capsules. It knocks out everything. It doesn't matter what it is. If I feel my body's not functioning, something's coming on, whatever it might be, because that's anti-parasitical. It's the most powerful antibiotic on the planet. It's 10 times more powerful than any other antibiotic. Yeah. It's going to knock out all those parasites. It's going to knock out. So I do those regularly, and I'm like, I don't even have the same intolerance to things like I used to either. So whatever it knocked out, if it was a parasite, if it was viruses, what these imaginary enemy out there, the
Morgellons.
Yeah, I'm like, so just that one thing, and I've given it to people, and they're just like, holy shit, that knocked out whatever I was dealing with. And then then I'm like, okay, now you got to get on the minerals. Minerals are so fucking important. Like there's 60 essential minerals that you need every day that you're not getting.
Yeah.
They're not in your food. You know, you got to do something to get those in your food, unless you're eating really high quality food, which not too many people are.
No.
But you start with getting those minerals in your body every day and see what happens. Like even my kids would have, like my daughter had some skin condition, some eczema or something. I'm like, that's just an autoimmune condition and it's low vitamin D. And like, it's like, but it's not a low, there's never a low one thing in your body.
Right.
Your body is a whole chain of events. So it's like, if you need vitamin D, yeah, but you need also K2. You need magnesium. You need like all of like the selenium. You need this whole sequence of minerals and stuff for everything to function, because it's not a independent thing. Like Western medicine is reductionism. Yeah. Everything about Western medicine, all reduction. So they try to reduce it down to one thing always.
You got all these issues. Oh, that. Go to WebMD, put all the things in, and go, oh, yeah, it's probably this.
Yeah, yeah. And we
here's a drug for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Here, take this.
And the thing, you're never going to come off of it.
Yeah.
That's the thing about
unless you have like a crazy allergic reaction or some shit, then they'll put you on something else.
Yeah. But the point of it, you're never coming off. The dosage is just going to keep going up.
Right.
And you're going to keep taking more medicines because you're going to have symptoms that you have to attack, fight against.
Yeah.
And you're going to have other problems because every medication causes a nutritional deficiency. Right. Every medication will cause a nutritional deficiency.
Well, you got to think, because your body's a biome, You got your central biome, and it's full of chemicals, natural chemicals. So when you're adding chemicals to it, it fucks up your biome, and then you have that chemical dependency. That's why alcohol is one of the hardest things to wean off of because it'll kill you as soon as you stop instantly.
Yeah, and it's so much worse for you than everyone wants to think, right? I'm like,
that's why I haven't drank in over 2 years.
Oh, I mean, every time I'm like, just try to
I have beer in my house, but it's for other people. I have alcohol in my house, it's for other people. It's not for me.
It's not worth it. I'm like, it's just not worth it. I'm like, I started doing this like the kava. You heard of kava? Mm-hmm. It has the same receptor, and it's kind of cool because it's like, but I don't have any like, I guess you can take too much. I've never taken more than like 1 or 2 capsules of it, or I never tried the tea whatsoever. But I just try it. I mean, you have a relaxed feeling, and I guess I've never done it like socially. I just tried it, but it was something different. I mean, like I say, I have kava bars in other cities and stuff like that, but alcohol, especially in Yakima, I mean,
that's one of the only things to do around here as an adult.
We grow 80% of the nation's hops.
Yeah,
that's
and we have a brewery or a bar in every corner. It seems like as well as a coffee stand.
Yeah.
So it's like
go get the depressant of coffee, or get the alcohol depressant and get a coffee to jack you back up and keep the cycle going.
Yeah. Whatever they got to do. And it's all money at the end of the day. And I get it. It's a capitalist nation. I mean, we got to make a buck, because that's how the world is in our world around here, is that you got to make money to be able to do things and live.
Yeah. That's not.
And I'm not against people like owning a business and it happened to be coffee or Yakima Reclaim or whatever it is. I'm not against any of that, because you guys are just everybody's trying to make their buck so they can live, have a good life for themselves and their kids, their families, whatnot. But it's those assholes at the top that have ruined it for everybody else.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like, it's the corporation of the United States of America. It's not the government. There's no such thing as like that stuff was dissolved like in the 1800s. The United States of America as a country was dissolved, and we established as a corporation. And so now it's all these corporations that run everything and that make all the rules, and they put people in place like myself as a council member to go in there and choose A or B. You don't get to change anything. You can't change anything. Nobody can change it. The president can't change anything. It's so tightly wound that all the bureaucrats behind the scenes, that's why they have bills that are thousands of pages. That's why they have, you need everybody else to make a tiny little change. Everyone's like, oh, be the change, go vote. Your voting has nothing to do with anything. Like, it gives you that pat on the back. Maybe you did something, but
get a cool little sticker you can show on social media.
Yeah, that's the least of your effectiveness as a person that lives in the United States, or probably any country, but especially in the United States. Like, I'll tell you what, you could be way more effective just by writing emails or talking to a representative than you can voting. Voting
Right.
is like, it's just it's to pacify people. It's to make you feel like you had a part,
Right.
and to make and you represented people, and they get to choose A or B, but they can't change the system, make it actually viable and intelligent for people to serve the people. You know, that's one thing that I was most shocked about when I went into government. I didn't know anything about government.
Yeah.
I just knew that whenever I watched these idiots on TV from city council, they were saying nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at least I can say something real.
And then
that people would understand, you know? And that's what my whole thing was. I'm like, well, you're like, they would interview him. I'm like, you didn't say anything about the subject they were asking you about. You didn't give me anything. Like,
right.
And I've always been, you know, direct and probably with my language and straight to the point. So it,
some people don't like that. Real people do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those little pussies out there, they don't like that.
Yeah. They didn't like it. I mean, you know, but, at least people were understanding like that, you know, like when I was on the council, I was pretty just listening for like the first 6 months or a year. I'm like,
kind of learn what's going on.
Yeah, but I also shut down projects. Like, you know, like the whole it was like they had this business incubator, you know, sounds so good, but it's like horrible. Mm-hmm. The numbers were horrible. They were going to try to charge people like crazy amounts of rent and wanted government to fund it and wanted to fund some guy's private business building, rebuild his building, pay him some outrageous lease, and charge people like $20 a square foot. I'm like, 20, 30, $40 a square foot. And I'm like, this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Shut that down. The plaza was such a big deal. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Because like, I didn't give two shits about it. I'm like, this is what you guys care about? This is what I'm running on is the plaza, how I'm voting on it?
Right.
I'm voting on it. Okay, I'm like, as this is like people's misconception is too that politicians are leaders somehow.
Yeah,
that's like the exact inversion of what it is. What a politician is, they're a follower. Yeah, they're supposed to be there to follow your lead of where society is going with policies on that level.
They're supposed to work for the people, not the opposite.
Yeah, and people don't understand this. Like the whole system is.
You're supposed to be a leader. It's like, no, I'm not. You guys are supposed to tell me what to do, and then I'm supposed to try and do it.
Yeah, and then the people have like just and so disenfranchised too that because schooling is literally not an education. It's schooling. Yeah. It's called schooling for a reason because they're schooling. They're keeping you swimming in the same direction and keeping you disenfranchised and training you to make you believe that your voice doesn't matter. Shut the fuck up. Sit down. Mm-hmm. Be quiet for 8 hours a day. Go home. Do it all over again. Right. And you're going to be a good little worker.
Oh, and all that shit that we didn't get done today, you get to do on your own time tonight.
Yeah, you got to do it tonight.
What?
Yeah.
I never got homework. I didn't understand that.
Yeah. I mean.
Sorry, I don't get when I get off of work today, I'm not going to go home and do my job at home. Yeah. Fuck that. Yeah. I clocked out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I never did homework in high school. Fuck that. I never did it.
Yeah. I mean, I never. The only reason they got me to do decent in school is because of football. You know, I wanted to play football and got into that.
It's one of the only reasons I did decent. Yeah. Passing was to do sports.
That was the goal. And you know, I do think it's a travesty that kids have to. Some kids, yes, we need some engineers and we need some of that could sit there, and those are you could spot those kids from a mile away that could sit there all day and study. Yeah. And then the other kid that's like fucking throwing shit at their friends and dicking around. Those guys are the workers. Those guys are going to be building shit. Yeah. You know, they have the energy. They have this other thing. Like,
But those are the guys that are really the backbone of the society.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are doing shit that other people don't want to do.
Yeah.
Building a fucking skyscraper in the middle of July. And
they don't need to be sitting at a desk. I mean, sure, teach them how to read and write for 2 hours a day and then send them on their way to be building stuff and learning about real world things. Yeah. And, you know, I think, and luckily the entire system's coming down. It's taken longer than I'd like to see for it to come down, especially the schooling system.
Well, homeschooling just fucking skyrocketed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah. And they don't like that.
I don't like some of these people homeschooling their kids because a lot of them are fucking morons. But at least their heart's in the right place.
Yeah, yeah, they were trained by the same educational system that that did the damage already.
Yeah,
and so it's tough because I mean you're like but it's good to see people at least taking that initiative, getting them out of these atrocities that are schools that are basically a prison.
Right.
I mean, it's eerily similar.
Look
to
at the
a prison.
similarities. They have security guards.
Yeah.
All the doors are locked during the day.
Same kind of design,
food.
Same kind of lunch trays, same kind of food, same kind of hallways.
Yeah.
Like sterile,
bullies and all that shit. And it's
Yeah.
just, and they have cliques, and
Oh, yeah.
it's literally just a miniature jail.
Yeah, yeah. Same kind of buses.
And if you don't do what we tell you, we're going to put you in solitary or detention.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not the way that people were intended to live.
No.
That's for sure. I mean, some people, they can go to school, and like if my daughter wasn't going to school to be a veterinarian, I wouldn't support her going to college.
Yeah.
For 8 years for nothing. Because
but at least she's going for that's more like a trade though.
That's something the real world needs is people working on animals. I mean, the colleges should be, probably a hundredth of what they are today.
Yeah, they don't need all that.
1 out of 100 maybe needs to go to college.
Yeah.
Like those degrees are, they're valid, and, but.
Some of them.
Yes, like some of them, like a veterinarian, and I mean, I'm probably going to question their tactics there too, and
right,
because I mean, you have to learn everything outside of the school to get a real education. You're not going to get, no matter what it is, and you might think you're going to do good. The chances are you're going to get your education outside.
Right,
you're going to get your paperwork so you can practice.
Right,
but you're going to be learning
on the job usually,
and from other people, from
right,
reading other books and reading people that are also outside of the
sitting down in a classroom of 80 other people with a book, with your nose in a book. You're learning terms and shit. Sure, why not? Mm-hmm. But until you're actually operating on that dog, or or giving them some type of care or whatever, or a horse or a bird or whatever the fuck it may be, in your daughter's case, she's going to learn that first world real, firsthand from someone that's experienced, not some professor.
Yeah, sitting in a classroom, and they dick you around for she's only year 2, so she has to learn all this bullshit for 4 years before she can get into her job. And luckily, they have a little bit of hint of it now, instead of just strictly propaganda for 4 years, and then. And she's going to WSU, so it's normal people, which I was very surprised with when I went there and dropped her off. I'm like, oh. Normal looking fucking people. This is good.
I think it's because it's so close to Idaho.
Yeah, and people that are normal are sending their kids there because
they don't want to go to UW or Ellensburg Central.
Yeah, it's like, you don't want to go to this super liberal ass school where everyone's a fucking blue-headed chicken cults.
I service Ellensburg 4 days out of the week, and it's so fucking funny because you have the college there, which is super liberal, and everything around it is all rednecky.
Well,
it's so funny because
for all the rich ass people up there.
Well, yeah, but then you got Kittitas, it's all rednecky, and then the outskirts of Ellensburg are rednecky, but in town, it's just all liberal.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll see some guy, see a big old diesel truck driving down the street that says, fuck Kamala, fuck Joe, no, vote Trump, and then right next to them is a Subaru that says Kamala Walls.
Yeah,
like what the fuck?
Rainbows. We love everybody. Except for we hate everybody. Yeah.
They have a big sign or a flag at Central that says one of the most LGBTQ friendly campuses in the country. And I was like, I guess that's cool, but that's your selling point?
Yeah.
That's your selling. Hey, I know we're a school and we do education and all that other shit, but fuck all that. We like that you suck dick.
Yeah, it's the weirdest fucking thing
why
ever.
Why does it fucking matter?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Come, do your work, and get the fuck out.
Yeah. And they turned everything into this identity thing,
Identity politics.
Yeah,
is just,
identity. Yeah, it's a fucking...
Not that the whole politic thing matters anyways, but there's just more division.
Yeah, division.
Is all it is.
And, keeping people separated and I mean, I think it has deeper meaning of this sexuality and keeping people confused, and because I mean, in nature, you're not likely to be gay because it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Right.
Like your whole mission in life is to produce kids.
Yeah, procreate.
Create like men. Why do you think they want to fuck all the time? Because that's their whole mission in life.
That's how they were wired.
Have that desire.
That's how they were wired, Nate, and naturally is to fuck.
Yeah.
And women. I'm not saying anything about being submissive, but normally in the fucking animal kingdom, the females are more submissive to their male dominance.
Yeah, and
because the male provides, the male protects, and all that other shit. And without the male, obviously you could do the argument against, but without the male, there's no future in that pride or that group or whatever. Obviously you have to have a female too.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah, and that's what they
in a lion, like a lions, there's like a couple of males and there's a fuck ton of females.
Oh,
so it's like, well, shit. Well, you don't want to fuck. I'll just go fuck someone else, and then your bloodline dies.
Yeah.
But they don't think that way, obviously, because they don't have that.
Well, and then
logic.
They try to convince them that a career is more important than a baby. Yeah. And they like it's like the most ridiculous.
Well, that's
thing,
depopulation agenda.
Yeah, the depopulation agenda, and
we saw that in China.
Yeah. And they're wiping themselves out. Like all the conservative minded people don't believe that shit.
No.
And the ones that want to fight now are like, okay, yeah, you're taking, and it's a weird scenario too. Even to step back and you're like, you're depopulating, but the only people buying this shit are your warriors, your soldiers, because that's what everybody is a soldier right now. Whether you want to believe it or not, you're part of the war. It's just fifth generation. You're right in smack dab in the fucking middle of this war.
Right.
You can go by lolly dotty and fucking not believe it, but you might be dead tomorrow too. If you don't believe that you're under attack and you're not doing everything you can to prevent that on your life, that threat on your life, you might be dead tomorrow. Like, look around. People are dropping like fucking flies.
Right. And
everyone's like, oh, lottie-dottie, nothing's happening. Like, fucking people are dying like left and right for whatever reason.
All you got to do is get the vaccine and mask up.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, just
you'll be fine.
Keeping this shit food, keep taking these pills your doctor's giving you. And
you'll be good.
Yeah, we don't know why. Like, there's still people that believe that shit. We don't know why all these, and like, I mean, I have a young daughter, 9 months right now, and
congratulations.
Didn't vaccinate her, and like, I'm like, these kids are dropping like flies, and they always have been since day one of these vaccinations 100 years ago, and they just, it's weird, you gave them a shot, and a week later they're dead, and a respiratory infection, and we don't know why, or SIDS. We call it SIDS. I'm like, no, that's vaccinated deaths.
Now they have SADS.
Yeah, SADS. Yeah,
which is a new phenomena.
Yeah,
that happened in 2020.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
What a coincidence! Yeah, fucking adults just suddenly just dying, and we don't understand why. And it's like, holy fuck! I can see why.
I can tell you exactly why. You won't want to know you won't like the answer, but I can tell you exactly why.
Doctors, I have a doctor clients. My brother just died suddenly, and we have to go do this. We don't know why. Yeah. I'm like, I'll tell you why right now. I don't even need to know history.
I actually was thoroughly surprised. So during COVID times, I was having some chest pains, and I was like, oh, fuck, this is it for me. Here we go. Yeah. Leave my kids behind. Luckily, I have a life insurance policy, which is a good thing to have, guys. If you die within that time, because if not, 10 years from now, policy might even matter. But I went to the hospital because I had some chest pains or whatever, and I didn't have a provider at the time, and it was like after hours anyway. So I was like, I'm just going to go. Went in there. There was a lady who was a nurse, short hair, slick back, whatever. Obviously, you can tell who she votes for. Yeah. And she comes in, she takes my vitals, whatever. Doctor comes in, looks at me and goes, "Did you get vaccinated?" And I go, like, "For what?" And he goes, "For the COVID." And I go, "No." He's like, "Oh, you're probably fine then." And I was like, "Oh, my man, you are fucking awesome." And then he was he was discharging me, wrote my discharge papers or whatever, and walked out. And then the nurse comes back in, and she was taking some more vitals from me. And I'm like, he was just getting ready to discharge me. She's like, "Oh, I just got to do one more test." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." Because I don't know the procedure, whatever. I don't go to the hospital very often. And then she goes, "Did you get the COVID vaccine?" And I go, "No." She goes, "Oh, why not?" And I'm like, "Because I don't want to." And she goes, "Oh, you should really get it." And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to get the vaccine. Why would I get it? First of all, it's experimental. It's not even a vaccine.
Yeah.
So why would I want to be a guinea pig?"
Yeah.
And she just kind of looked at me like surprised, like in awe, like, "What? A free thinker? What? This?" And,
Yeah.
And then the doctor comes back and he's like, "You're all good." And she goes, "Oh, I was going to," he's like, "Nope, he's good. He's fine. Just take care of yourself."
Yeah.
And he chalked it up to something else, which it's good and bad that he just kind of dismissed it, but at least he was on that mindset that, oh, you didn't get the vaccine? You're probably okay.
Yeah, you're not going to die.
Yeah, it's not from blood clots or anything like
you don't
that.
have blood clot, yeah.
At least not from that.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been blood clots from something else.
Well, that's what they were doing. The protocols were just wiping people out. They would throw you on remdesivir and then pump you full of oxygen, which is like a 50% death rate.
Yeah.
And we've known this shit for a long time. I mean, you could look it up. People, they're like, don't let them put you on remdesivir. Yeah. Whatever you do, like, don't let them pump you full of oxygen.
I think like 20, 30 years from now, we'll be getting those late night you get those letters in the mail or on the TV. Did you get the COVID vaccine in 2020? You may be entitled to compensation. I guarantee that. I'm calling it right now.
Well, the states are taking action. Like, I think Kansas just did it today, came out, civil action against the COVID vaccines.
Yeah.
So there's states that are taking action and people that are taking action and attorneys that, because I mean, you saw these, it doesn't count because they lied so much and they omitted information and blatantly lied. So they don't have that immunity, the vaccination immunity. And so, yeah, I mean.
Well, then there's no long-term studies on the effects of the vaccine that you were getting. Like, there's no long-term side effect studies because they couldn't have in 6 months.
Well, there is plenty of long-term data from
especially
spike
now.
Proteins. Like doctor that discovered that actually created the spike protein. Malone, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he even spoke out against it.
Yeah, he was getting shut down all the time.
And then the people were calling him a kook, and he's like, I fucking invented this shit.
Yeah, I'm the one that made it. I know what it does to people, you know?
I know what the mRNA vaccine shit does, and what was the other guy? The guy that did the tests, the guy that created the test was like, the tests are not supposed to be used this way.
No, they don't, yeah.
But they're like, oh, you're crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm the fucking inventor.
Yeah.
That's like calling Einstein crazy.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, E does not equal MC squared anymore. It's MC cubed or some shit.
Yeah.
And the people are like, oh, you're fucking crazy. It's like, I invented this shit, dude.
Yeah.
It's literally no different.
No, and it was like, but you couldn't, and at the time, Facebook was kicking you off for posting peer-reviewed data.
Anything. Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, all the people that were getting it were like, show me the data. I'm like, I can't. I'll get kicked off. Do you not see the problem here?
Yeah.
Like, do you not even understand that problem that if I post it, I will get kicked off of Facebook?
Yeah, I'll get shadow banned or completely banned.
Yeah, I will literally get kicked off for posting that shit. You know, it's like, okay, I'll get a ban if I do this shit. I'm going to get a 3-day ban for the first time. And they
delete your post anyways, so it doesn't matter.
Delete it. Yeah. And it's like, it's insane. Like, but it's like, if you want to talk about parallel universes, it's like, it's real. Like, we're living in parallel universes. Yeah. Like, literally, like, you're living in the same universe, but you're not.
Yeah.
Like, you're living, like, your mind is somewhere else where you believe this propaganda, and it's like, but I mean, like, I remember it, like, even 6-8 years ago that, like, hearing the news at my parents' house, living at my parents' house, them having the news on, I'm like, that doesn't agitate the fuck out of you? Just the sound? Mm-hmm. Like, not them talking, not what they're talking about. Whatever sound is playing there, you don't feel that agitation in the back. I could feel it.
Yeah.
I could feel my body because I'm in tune or whatever with the way I feel. Like, I'm like, that is agitating the fuck out of me. Just barely even on, barely hearing it. Yeah. And it's not exactly what they're saying. There's some other shit they're putting into that programming. They're programming you to be agitated.
What is it? It's the frequency. It's a certain frequency that they did studies on back during when they first started doing like Mockingbird.
Yeah.
And MK Ultra.
Yeah, and you can feel it. I can feel it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't feel that? You can't.
Anybody that's been desensitized to the bullshit can usually feel it or weed through it at least. Mm-hmm. Like when that 5G tower goes on over there, I can feel it over here. I have some like that pyramid right there supposed to help a little bit with it. Yeah. But obviously my phone's 5G. I mean, everything's 5G nowadays. But when that ramps up, I can feel it over here.
Yeah.
And it's 1,000 yards away.
Oh, yeah.
1,500 yards away.
Yeah. I know. I mean, our phones are putting off all the EMFs and all that. I mean, like, and, you know, and doing some of that with I think that just grounding and getting some sun is so important for people. I mean, like, Gary Brecka talking about all this stuff, and this other doctor that I just started talking about is literally like a neurosurgeon, but he really dived into the entire history of it and was in it. Like he was in the MK Ultra. He was near Lee Harvey Oswald in those programs. He was at the same schools and knew Lee Harvey, what he was doing and what programs he was in.
Oh,
and
shit.
Like he was literally a part of the stuff.
Wow.
He was like a doctor to the Kennedys, and like he's been all this shit.
So he's got connections.
Day one. So he knew like the history of when cancer started because it was tied to the vaccines. And like in medical school back then, they'd be like, hey, come look, there's cancer. Check this shit out. You'll never see it again.
Right.
Back in the 50s or 60s. And so he knew that, and he started studying the history because he started connecting the dots. He's a smart guy, and he started connecting the dots and realizing that, oh shit, cancer started as soon as they started these vaccines for the polio or whatever it was. And people were like, oh, that vaccine helped. I'm like, no, the disease was already coming down, and then they started injecting people and started killing everybody off, and then the plagues.
And they're like, well, would you rather have polio or cancer? And it's like, I don't want neither.
Yeah.
Why do I have to choose?
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that the rarity of these diseases now, especially with if you're able to have a healthy diet, get sun, high vitamin D levels, you just don't get this shit.
Right.
Like if you're super weakened.
Also go out into nature.
Yeah.
Just go be in nature.
Oh, yeah.
Touch the ground with your bare hands or bare palms.
Yeah. I mean,
grounding is fucking fantastic.
And it's not a pseudoscience. It's a real science. Like it changes your pH, your potential hydrogen. That's the only way to change your pH. Water and all this bullshit not changing your pH.
The ground is naturally electrically charged.
Yeah.
So, and your body, I mean, you walk around all day and you're creating static stuff, but you're touching it, you're exerting it out.
Yeah.
So if you go out there, you can get that positive charge back into your body.
I do it in the morning sun, like regularly. Go out there. I can feel it change my body. Like I can feel the changes taking place within a minute or two. Like literally go out there and be towards the sun and get some morning sun and some ground, and you're gonna feel different. Like it changes everything in your body. It literally changes the blood cells and the way that the blood moves through your body.
Right.
So it's like these simple things that people could do to get their health back too. Like, okay, it's not going to change everything. You're not going to get rid of that disease, but you're going to feel that much better.
Right.
Like by doing these little things. And like your life is just accumulation of a bunch of little things.
Right.
You start changing shit. Like when I'm starting to get back into shape, I'm like, oh shit, if I just, I'm a O blood type too. So like I need more protein. Like if I don't get a bunch of protein in, I'm starving like all afternoon. I don't know why. Well, I need more fucking protein. Like I can eat a pound of beef at one setting and feel good.
Right.
Like it's not overeating to me, like with a little bit of, some beans and some, sour food, sour cream, sauerkraut.
Yeah.
Add those for the bacteria. And do that kind of thing. And it's like, that is so satiating to me. And it's like, it's healthy. Like food, meat heals. Like that's one thing that you gotta, and people will be like, well, I have gout and this and that. I'm like, yeah, it's because you have so many toxins and shit. So when you eat meat, your body's actually trying to digest it. It doesn't know what to do and it's slowing down and you feel like you're heavy and you have all these problems. But like I could have gout if I just went out and ate the standard food for a fucking day. You know how bad my joints would hurt? Yeah. I would barely be able to get out of bed. Yeah. That's why I went gluten-free like 15 years ago. Taking a nap, eating a sandwich, I can't even like get out of the couch, lay down, take a nap. I'm like stuck, like my body's like stuck together. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm 25 years old.
Right. What the fuck's going on?
Hips hurting. And I'm like, now that I'm 42 and I haven't been the healthiest throughout the time and like, a little bit.
No one's perfect.
No. And like just by taking these moments and like learning now, I think, since this whole COVID thing, I definitely, I haven't been sick in the last 5 years because I was like, if they're trying to fucking kill me, I'm going to make sure I'm fucking healthy because I know that that's the bottom line is they're trying to take, especially white people, feisty ass white people, we are public enemy number one to these people, they do not want white people running around. That's for sure. No. We're very, very, just in nature, we're very hard to control. That's why we went around the world and conquered shit and did all that shit because we make shit, we figure shit out. And, they don't want high testosterone white males running around for sure. And
they want everybody to be submissive beta males.
Yeah,
because they're easy to control. I mean, look at them.
Yep, they are. And it's funny, it's like that's why I was, and that's a big part of like my whole council thing. I was there just to challenge people.
Yeah.
Tell them to fuck, like, hey, grow a fucking pair.
Right.
I tell people that shit. I'm like, that's our problem. You don't have a pair of balls to do anything about it.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to city council meetings. And there's nothing, you're not going to do anything about it. That's the problem.
Right.
That's, you didn't even know, like nobody even knew for 6 months that I didn't go.
Right.
Nobody knew.
Yeah.
It took you guys 6 months of the news to finally report on it.
Yeah.
Oh, how could you not go? How did you not know I wasn't going?
Yeah.
And how come you're not doing anything about it?
Right.
Do something about it.
Yeah.
Like, shit needs to change. Like, if I can just be getting paid, a fucking $1,000 a month, to be on the city council, it's like, yeah, so for one, nobody in their right mind wants to do this shit because you're the scapegoat for everyone's problems.
Right.
Something
goes bad, then it's your fault.
Yeah, fucking city council or fucking president. I'm like, dude, no, like that's not the way shit works.
Yeah.
Like literally, if you got a pothole, you can literally just call the city and they'll come and fix it.
Yeah.
It's your ass not taking responsibility. It's like the lack of personal responsibility, and fuck, you tell the leftists that and they're gonna lose their mind.
Well, the thing is half the time is like they don't know that that's there.
Yeah. And but they didn't also.
Now, if you called a couple times and it's still there, then obviously there's an issue. But if you call once or twice and now it's fixed, then obviously something happened.
Yeah.
But if you don't say anything, you can't just assume someone else is doing it.
No, and that's the thing I've been trying to tell people is like the difference between in my mind, there's only two kinds of people or two types of mindsets, like the rich and poor, like. The winners and losers, and you can go back and forth in those mindsets and you can go into, winner, like.
Especially as guys, we go through them all the time.
Yeah, you can be in that, you can be back and forth, but like the overall thing is like the difference I notice with people that get shit done is they're persistent and they keep calling, they make those phone calls. They, like the Moyers, they own the mall downtown.
Yeah.
Fucking psychopaths, but they get shit through because they're persistent as fuck. Mm-hmm. They'll take every single one of the businesses that are under them and that rent from them, make sure that they email the city, and so it looks like there's 100 people doing something that's one person dictating shit.
Yeah.
And so like it's incredible what people can actually do if they just tried a little harder. Like the changes they can make in their own city and their own government. And maybe in a larger scale even, like you just don't know if you're willing to put in a little bit of effort, what those ramifications and those implications are going to be, and the dominoes of effects that's going to happen, or that maybe you'll change somebody else and they're going to change. And because we're all connected. And so when you start making changes, like the progression of change happens very strangely, like, first 3% of people are the ones that really make the change. Then you get to 12 and 25, and then it's mass adoption.
Right.
So not everybody has to do it. It's like the 100 monkey effect. It just takes over consciousness when people just start saying fuck off. Like I haven't had a business license in like 2 years. Mm-hmm. I told them to fuck off. I'm not paying your taxes. I'm not charging people taxes. I'm not promoting all of this shit. You've tried to kill us all off.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for that.
Yeah.
I'm not making anybody pay for that. So I'm like, the state calls me. I don't operate with, I don't negotiate with terrorists. Mm-hmm. You're a mafia. You're here trying to extort me.
Right.
And I'm not having it.
Right.
You can do whatever you want. Put a tax warrant out, but I'm not paying it. It's just against my morals and ethics. I'm not.
Well, not only that, but it's against the Constitution too.
Yeah.
It's against the Constitution to sell someone's rights back to them.
Yeah.
That's against the law.
Yeah, it is.
And making something and selling it, or especially like me, I'm a hunter. Hunting or fishing or anything like that, those are rights.
Yeah.
Those are God-given rights that we were given when the earth was created or when we were born or whatever it was.
Yeah, natural
whatever
rights.
your belief in that shit is. It doesn't matter. Either way, we were given those rights when we were born on this earth to be able to do those things. And the government saying, hey, you can fish and feed your family as long as you pay us a yearly fee.
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah.
Well, we use that money to manage the lands.
Yeah.
Well, then fucking manage the lands then.
Yeah.
Because you're obviously not.
No.
That's why that fucking fire did so much devastation up there this year.
Yeah.
Because you guys aren't managing shit.
Well, they can't. Yeah.
Because the fucking government won't let them.
Yeah. They come in and we need more money to do more stupid shit. And you're like, it was just fine before, especially before, when back in the 70s and shit, when they were actually cleaning shit up, getting rid of the vegetation on the
control burns
and taking care of the forest and shit. And we didn't have these fires, but they need them for their global warming propaganda bullshit. And it's like,
oh, another fire started. It's because of the sun or whatever started it. And it's like, no, some asshole started it.
Yeah. What about that plane that was dropping firebombs that we have recorded?
Yeah.
What about that guy?
Yeah.
Or what about these arsons? Like, what about the guys you arrested for that shit? Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like the dumbest shit. Or maybe it was a gas explosion. That big one up there was a guy's gas tank exploded or natural gas tank exploded or some weird shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, all of these things happening that they're trying to say are natural, and you're like, it's not fucking natural.
What's natural about it?
Yeah.
The fire's natural.
Yeah, and these
how the fire started is not natural.
All these extra fires just coincide with them spraying shit on us.
Yeah.
How flammable is that shit? How flammable is this zinc oxide or whatever they're spraying? All the other shit that
aluminum
they're spraying
and all that barium and all that other chemical shit, and that shit's not good for you when it lands on you.
No, I mean aluminum's fucking absolutely horrible in your system. Like aluminum toxin. Like I do a zeolite clay now in the morning. It's just detoxifying of those heavy metals and shit because that's what gets in your brain. I'm like. It's in all the vaccines and stuff like that.
Passes your blood-brain barrier.
Yeah, and I'm like,
and
I had a conversation about that with
sits.
Yeah, I was like, trying to get my daughter vaccinated. I'm like, I looked at the thing. I'm like, well, what about this fucking aluminum oxide in here? She's like, oh, it's just a little bit. I'm like, a little bit of that shouldn't be in my daughter's brain.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so when she's fucking autistic and shit, and you're, we don't know why. I'm like, I know why.
Yeah, because
there's a direct correlation with the many shots that you give. The autism just happens of just the same exact trajectory.
Yeah, we had 7 vaccines, and autism was very, very low.
Yeah,
and then now we had 30, and then autism got higher. Now we have 160 something or some shit by the time they're 18.
Yeah.
That's including all the flus and vaccines and COVID and all that shit. And now everybody's autistic.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we misdiagnosed it back then. It's like, no,
you didn't.
It's more prevalent now because of the food and the shit that's in our shots and all that other stuff.
Yeah, we can only tolerate so much.
But those people back then with the 7 shots, they're all up to date. But now we have to get 100 and something to be up to date. What the fuck? If anything, just give me those 7 shots.
I mean, like,
don't give me any. Yeah. Obviously, I've had some because I was a kid, my parents didn't know or whatever.
We didn't.
But.
I mean, I had no clue how bad they were even, maybe even 5 years ago. The extent and the relationship. I mean, like a lot of this stuff. I mean, even though maybe intuitively I know stuff, but I'm learning the details of it and the direct relationship, the history, and the specifics. I mean, like. And that shit's coming out like a floodgates right now.
And
they can't stop it.
The vaccine histories are crazy because you look at all the stuff. Like when you look at them doing a double-blind placebo trial, they never did any of those. They did the placebo. They did the trials against a earlier version of the same vaccine on a lot of those. So they did a trial vaccine that had no placebo, and they showed that it worked somehow. Which they fudge the numbers all the fucking time. And there wasn't as much oversight as there is now. VAERS and all that shit didn't exist, anything like that back then. And now when they do the double blind studies of all this new shit, they're just doing it against stuff that already exists.
Yeah.
They're not doing it against placebos. So my wife is the one that does all the research on that. And she is very outspoken when it comes to stuff like that. None of our kids are, which is great. But like, when you look at when vaccines started coming out, like you said, the diseases were already going down, and they were almost to a zero before the vaccine started coming out.
Yeah.
But then as soon as the vaccine came out, those diseases started seeing a rise again.
The deaths, the death toll.
And it's like, well, how does that work?
Yeah.
And a lot of people go, well, correlation doesn't equal causation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if correlation doesn't equal causation, then how can you give credit to the vaccines for eradicating said diseases?
Yeah.
If correlation doesn't equal causation. If I punch you in the mouth and you start bleeding, correlation doesn't equal causation, right?
I mean, and physics said I didn't even touch you, really.
Yeah, technically. Yeah, because I'm empty space and you're empty space. Nothing touched each other.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't realize is back then around that same time, antiseptics became a modern household thing, soap, and normal hygiene practices. Because, because they had access more available to clean running water, hot water, soap, and they started using taking showers and baths with clean water rather than going out to the river or the pond and getting water, boiling it, and then letting the kids take a bath in the same water.
Yeah.
And then they had, refrigeration started becoming a thing and all that other stuff. So when you're saying that all these things are happening and the death toll is going down, and then all of a sudden this thing happens, and then that's the reason why it became eradicated, even though it's not.
Yeah. No, the death toll goes back up.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as they introduce the polio vaccine, all the polio deaths start going back up.
And then they turn around and go, oh, polio got eradicated. But you anti-vaxxers then are bringing polio back. Well, then how is an anti-vaxxer going to give you polio if polio is eradicated?
Yeah, if it's gone, right?
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah. Like if I eradicate, like the dodo bird is eradicated. I can't just have one.
Yeah. Look what I got because I didn't vaccinate myself. I got a dodo bird now.
Yeah, it's the same fucking concept.
Yeah.
And what they're saying is that wild polio is eradicated.
Yeah.
But vaccine-induced polio is still around.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah. It is around. So how is the person that didn't get vaccinated going to give it to you? Because one, you're vaccinated against it, right? And if your vaccine works, then you shouldn't get it.
Yeah.
And two, if I'm not vaccinated against it, it's not in my blood. It's not in my body. So how am I supposed to give it to you? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
That's like it doesn't. So and those mental gymnastics those people have to go through to get to that.
Yeah. Well,
it's crazy.
Well, even like just going back to virology 101, you're like, this is all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just like the basics of it. All of this Western science, medicine is based on these crazy assumptions and shit they don't know anything about. Yeah. You're like, oh, stop there, stop. You know, at 101.
Yeah.
You can't go past 101, and then they just build up all this whole imaginary fucking evil, invisible enemy that they can inject you with whatever you want because of this thing. I'm like, and that's why I'm trying to tell people, like, all this shit is everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
It's not more so in the winter. It's just you have less vitamin D in the winter. That's why you get sick in the flu. It's like you have less nutrients.
Right.
It's all nutrient based. So like,
well, look at all the food they're eating during the winter too.
Yeah, like food usually.
You're eating Christmas candy and Halloween candy and Thanksgiving, sweets and all this shit. You're inside. You're not going outside and getting that little bit of vitamin D in the morning still.
Yeah.
And
it's like all disease is like a nutritional deficiency. And it's like, you get those nutrients in your body and you don't have disease. Like, disease is not a natural state like they're trying to convince everybody.
Right.
Like, today it's like, it's just a natural thing that I have said disease or condition.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I have diabetes. It just runs in my family.
Yeah. No, it
doesn't.
No.
No, the problem is no one in your family runs.
No, yeah.
That's why you have diabetes.
And mental health can be, you can have these epigenetics. Mm-hmm. Yeah, your dad did the same stupid shit. And he got the same condition.
Yeah.
Because epigenetically, yes, if your dad does the same thing, you'll get the same disease if you do the same shit.
Right.
But
if you don't do that, like if your dad had liver disease, but because he drank every day for the rest of his life, if you follow that, chances are you're going to get that same thing. But if you don't, you're not going to be susceptible to liver disease. Like, obviously things happen, but chances are it's because of something else.
Yeah, and unfortunately now non-fatty alcoholic liver disease is insanely high, and it's easy to fix. I mean, it's not easy. It's simple to fix, but nobody wants to take the steps to even fix that. Like, your liver is always repairing.
Stop drinking.
Well,
alcohol.
Not associated to alcohol.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, just fatty liver disease is on a rise, not alcohol associated.
Oh, okay.
It's because of all the seed oils and shit. And like, but to to get rid of that and to fix your liver isn't the hardest thing to do. There's a lot of things you can do to fix your liver, and even these GLP-1s, you can utilize them effectively, because that's what people. I mean, I lose my mind when I hear people like they don't understand these mechanisms. Like, they're going to take a drug, but they're not going to understand the mechanism of action.
Yeah.
Like, because drugs and medicine has its place, and it's a tool.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking end all be all. Like, if you're going to take a GLP-1, you got to do things differently. You know, like you're going to take these. It's not just all bad, all good. It's a mechanism of action that you can utilize if you're going to do it right. You're going to, eat high protein, keep your muscle mass, because muscle mass is a high indicator of longevity of life. Mm-hmm. You need muscle mass. You need nutrients. You need extra nutrients because you're going to be depleted. You're not going to want to eat as much food. Mm-hmm. So you got to be very specific. Coming off and on it too, like not just running it long term, running it for the rest of your life. Right. Like, you're going to be insanely limiting your life timeline, like how long you should, the quality of your life, the length of your life. But you can use it for a little bit of time, drop some weight, come off of it, but then you got to also
stick to it. Change your habits.
Yeah, because
I lost 30 pounds. You know what? I'm just going to go back to eating chocolate cake for breakfast.
Yeah.
Well, no.
But a lot of that too, it does get rid of addiction. So if you did it, if you even did it for a month on, month off, you're not going to have the same addiction. Maybe if you started reestablish your addiction over, you start eating cake for every fucking day again, and you're addicted to it now. Yeah. That's what a lot of it is, because it's an addiction to bad foods, like
sugar, especially.
It's all these. I mean, sugar. I'm not opposed to sugar, but sugar naturally would always have
depends on the sugar,
fiber.
Of course, yeah.
Natural sugar has fiber with it all the time.
Yeah,
in a natural form, and there's literally 10,000 chemicals in our foods now that shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
10,000 fucking chemicals and products, and if you take a product and it has all this shit on there that you can't read, you shouldn't eat it.
Yeah,
especially these coffee creamers. I'm like, if I put a coffee creamer in my coffee, I feel like shit.
Yeah,
and it has 10 different things in there, and I'm like, okay, don't do that.
I thought coffee creamer was just cream.
Yeah, right. That's
with maybe some natural flavoring or something. A vanilla bean mixed in there.
Yeah, no, it's insane. And every day these lists get longer and longer and longer, and you're like, holy fuck, if you go back 20 years, even the cereal 20 years ago wasn't the same shit.
Yeah, it was today. 6 ingredients maybe.
Yeah. And now it's 30. 30, 40, 50.
And half of them you can't even pronounce.
Yeah.
I know there was one I saw the other day. Well, I saw it a while ago, but I saw it the other day because it came up on my Facebook timeline thing. And it was trisodium phosphate.
Yeah.
Which is TSP. Which is a cleaner.
Yeah.
But it's in Frosted Flakes or one of the other one cereal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I try to show people that, and they're like, "Oh, it's not the same stuff." And I'm like, "It's the exact same stuff."
It is, yeah.
If you look up TSP online, it'll tell you exactly what it is and what it's used for. Mm-hmm. And they go, "Well, they have a food grade version of it. It's like a food grade version of cleaner."
Yeah.
Sure. Vinegar is a food grade version of cleaner.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But a chemical that you created in a lab probably should not be ingested, especially when on the back of the TSP box that you can buy at a hardware store says "do not ingest."
Yeah. Well, even fluoride.
Yeah.
It's on your toothpaste. If ingested, call the Poison Control Center. It's in my fucking water. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah. But it's
most of it is.
It's in your tap water for sure. And chlorine. There's so much for chlorine, and chlorine absorbs you in your skin instantly.
Yeah. Some days I'll sometimes I'll turn on here in Sela my tap water just to wash dishes or whatever. Yeah. And you can smell the fucking chlorine. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. I know it's insane how much is in this stuff, and it's so bad. And it's these are all endocrine disruptors, and fluoride is it literally. There was a huge case that just got a doctor just won the case against the FDA, saying that there's zero amount that's healthy to be in food or in anywhere.
Yeah.
There's no safe level for human consumption.
Yeah.
Because it's the same, it's literally the same classification of a neurotoxicity as mercury and lead.
Yeah.
It's the same classification, especially the fluoride that they put in.
Which, have you done any research on the mercury and lead myths?
No.
Oh, I'll have to send you something.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't even looked at any of that. But like, why they outlined mercury and lead, like in paint and shit like that? Is that what it's based on? Like,
essentially,
yeah, to keep all the radiation out, like so you can get radiated.
Yeah. So the lead is probably worse, but mercury is, I don't know. Yeah. I'll have to send you a thing because I don't want to botch it or even like send some misinformation.
Yeah.
Like on my end.
Yeah.
Like this guy obviously knows what the fuck he's talking about, but that mercury isn't as bad as people think that it is.
No. Yeah. And like, I mean, and fluoride is a lot worse than people think it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know. Yeah.
I saw a quote the other day that says the cavities in your teeth are not due to the lack of fluoride in your toothpaste. No. It's due to the sugars and the shit that you eat.
Or it's a lack of minerals too. Like your teeth can always rebuild. Yeah. And that's one thing that like your teeth can't yes they can. Like if you have like hydroxyapatite and these other like calcium is not one of the main minerals in your teeth anyways. Right. It's all these other minerals too. And it's like if you remineralizing, like you can rebuild your teeth like and I've always gone against it naturally and their recommendations and stuff, and they'll be like, "Oh, you have really clean teeth." I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, I only brush and floss like once a day. I mean, like I do it in the morning, and that's it. Like I don't do all this other shit. I don't use fluoride toothpaste anymore. I use hydroxyapatite toothpaste, but I don't have any problems. I never did. I always drink way more milk than
we use like a coconut oil one.
Yeah,
that's
polling. I've done some polling and stuff like that too in the past, and just over the years of just continuously doing all these little things, like now I can feel stuff, but it's like my energy's better. I don't have joint pains and stuff like that. I mean, like my brain is clearer because like I didn't even know how to read till like the 4th grade. I went to Adams, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I was able to get to the 4th grade without knowing how to read. Damn. And finally, one of my teachers was like, hey, how about you choose a book that you want to read so you can learn how to read? And I chose a book that I like, but, you know, like this dyslexia and an ability to focus because of all this stuff in my food. Like, I can focus better now, you know, as an adult, you know, which, you know, I mean, like just... like, because I couldn't even focus on words because my brain would literally project a different word there or just see whatever it wanted to see, you know, or make up words with dyslexia type thing. And, you know, it was too easy to get through the system because they're trying to push you through so they can keep that money coming into the school.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So I was just talking to one of my last guests, Alex Cavan, and he got held back even though he was smart enough to go through. He got held back because the school gets paid more money if they hold back students. Yeah. So it's not outside the realm of possibility for a school to do that kind of shit.
Oh, to keep you back, yeah. Keep the numbers up.
Or anything to help to hinder children from succeeding.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was crazy. They, you know, and it's just, you know, especially for somebody, you know, and then I was like in middle school, like going to Washington, they didn't have classes high enough for me, you know, like math classes. It was like, so they put us all like 3 or 4 or 5 smart kids in the school in a special class and basically just let us do whatever the hell we wanted.
Yeah.
They bought me a Connect set. They bought me a huge ass Ferris wheel Connect set. So I was happy as can be, you know, especially in school to do something fun. Yeah. To do something, you know, and it's a big piece, you know, it's like several thousand pieces and you needed to, you know, actually use some real skills that would be useful in life with building something, making stuff, you know, which was really cool. So it's probably the one positive experience I had in a classroom. So, you know, so.
Yeah, I did. It was kind of weird because I did something kind of similar to that. So I went to Ridgeview Elementary growing up. Yeah, and then in 5th grade, they would take me once a week from Ridgeview. A bus would drive me over to, what's the one over by the mall? Is that Martin Luther King?
The Valley Mall.
Yeah, Valley Mall. Yeah. So Martin Luther King Jr., I would go in there And the schools look exactly the same. They're exactly the same. They're identical.
Yeah.
So I walk in. It's kind of weird because my school was green. I think there was red.
Yeah.
So I walk in, and as soon as I go in, there's that gymnasium on the left, the office on the right, and I would go into the left by the gymnasium, but there's like a weird classroom over there. And it was me and like 5 or 6 other kids, maybe 7 other kids. And we learned about stuff that was like higher knowledge learning stuff. So we learned about like Da Vinci, like Leonardo da Vinci. We learned about all his like inventions and stuff. We learned about like angles, like how to read angles on a protractor and shit like that. Stuff that kids in 5th grade weren't learning.
Oh yeah.
You know, we were learning all that shit. And I went to that the rest of the year. And I don't know what came of it because like, I don't know. I was doing so good in school because all the way up to about 5th, 6th grade, I was a straight A student. And then after that, I started going down, not because school was hard. It was just boring to me.
Oh, yeah.
And not only that, but then you start to get 6th, 7th grade, you start figuring out that, oh, that girl's attractive.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking about girls or hanging out with your friends and shit like that rather than doing good in school. Like, obviously, some people still do all that shit and do good in school, but I was like, this is a lot more fun and more entertaining than this shit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so that's what I kind of went through. But it was kind of weird because we had all these projects. Like, I had to build a suspension bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Out of, like, things I could find around the house, like toothpicks and popsicle sticks and actual rope and string and all that shit, and make it, like, legitimate suspension bridge.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck I was doing, but I went through and did it. I got it and I passed. I'm like, well, shit, what is this? And then they were telling us about, they did all these different like random like mind riddle things with us. Like they had one where I remember the riddle, not exactly, but to this day I still remember it because it was such a mind fuck that it was, at least to me in 5th grade, was this guy had a dream that his work was getting robbed or was going to get burglarized. And so he told his boss that it was going to get burglarized. And so that they caught the perpetrator, the burglar, but then the guy that told them got fired. Why? And we're trying to figure it out. And only one kid in the entire class knew the answer. And we're trying to figure out, we spent like 20 minutes trying to figure it out. The answer is he was asleep on the job. Oh, And I'm like, what the fuck? How am I supposed to know this? But that's kind of like the shit that they had you thinking about, not like, hey, what's 3 times 5?
Yeah.
You know,
Memorization,
we know that shit.
Yeah.
We know that shit. They were trying to get us to more think logically, rather than just memory stuff.
Yeah. And I think luckily I got stuck into like even in middle school, I was in this like misfit 4th, 5th grade split class.
Yeah.
I had a weird teacher and like clay and shit. He would bring in clay and he was a farmer or something like that. So he brought in all these different things and, luckily, like, I mean, they kind of threw us all the people that were probably highly intelligent. Some people, like I remember one of the girls like had like a 13th, over a high school reading level, and shit. And it was just like a bunch of random people that didn't really fit in the other classes and shit. They threw us all in there and gave us a weird teacher to keep our attention and
kind of eccentric.
Yeah, eccentric guy, and would do random stuff, brought in clay, and building different things. And, it's like, and I don't think that, especially now, I don't think that kids are even remotely being exposed to, like they try to add some little things in sometimes, like, oh, hey, build this little thing. So we check that box off, like, but it's like
part of the curriculum, hands on. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Got it.
Yeah.
One day.
Built this little, not building stuff. And like, it's like I, didn't even get to do any of like these like egg drops where you can build something. Like I didn't do that till I went to like Camp Dudley, like things that where you engineer something.
Junior high, I think, in West Valley, and I think we did one in science class.
Yeah, do some things that like because you remember that and you understand real physics when you start doing things like that and how to secure things in there tighter, and you just understand. And luckily, naturally, I probably grasped the real world side of it, better than a lot of people. But I also understood the class side of it, even though I didn't really obviously for, with that No Child Left Behind,
Yeah.
dumb everybody down agenda, it's like, it's absolutely atrocious that they make kids, as long as you do it the right way, it's right. If you just look at it and you tell them the answer, it's wrong. Because, that's what math was for me. I'm like, I just did it in my head. I don't have to write a bunch of numbers down on a fucking piece of paper.
Why the fuck do I got to show you work?
Yeah. Why do I have to do 10 times the amount of work to do this work? Because that's not what you want in life either. I mean, that's what you're getting paid by the hour. Like we're creating hourly wagers here, man. Not
you want to get as much work done in an hour, not show you how much work I did. Like, oh, this is why it took me so long to do this, because I want to show you all my work. They're like, I don't give a fuck. Just get your shit done.
They would, even some of the stuff where they have to write out every, a block, 100 squares to 100 plus 42 and write down 100 dashes or something. I'm like, holy fuck, seriously.
We had to do that shit in high school with pre-calculus and algebra trig. We had to do all that stuff because you have to there's proofs and you have to prove why 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
So and it's just simple shit like that, but it ends up being a paragraph of shit to prove that 1 + 1 = 2. When any kid over the age of 2 or 3 knows 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah. But as a high school adult, I have to go in there and go, well, 1 = 1, 2 ones equals
break it down.
2. You have to break it down in the steps and how you got to that and how to prove it. And you have to go because of this or that, and you have to show the properties and all that shit. And I was like, how is this math?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, once you get past geometry, math doesn't become normal math that you think of, 1 + 1 or 2 + 3 or 5x × 3 = whatever.
Yeah, that's
it comes to equations.
Yeah, and it's all theoretical. The further you get, it's all theoretical. Yeah. It doesn't have anything to do with reality anymore. No. All that theoretical physics and shit, because I wanted to be a physicist, and I was like, it kind of got me down that little, I remember early on, different thinking, because I was 10, 12 years ago when I kind of gave up the mainstream life, maybe, a little bit before my daughter. Yeah, about 10 or 12 years ago when I was kind of, more committed to going down a alternative lifestyle, or giving up my attachment to what I thought success was, because that shit was just driving me crazy. This internal need where it was affecting, I knew it was affecting me, not having things in life,
Chasing the bag.
Yeah, chasing a bag. I knew it was affecting me personally, so I gave it all up, and I was like, you know what, I could be happy with nothing, and I started going down the more of the metaphysical side of it. Mm-hmm. I had a roommate at my house there that was really big into astrology. So I started really studying astrology really deep and learning the cheat code to life. It's so fucking incredible, because astrology has been demonized because it's so powerful.
Right.
The
elites use it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could.
The elites use it. The churches use it. Yeah. The fucking Queen Elizabeth. Well, she's not there anymore, but they use it.
Yeah.
The royal families use it.
They don't want you knowing just how powerful both Vedic and Western astrology is, because
because it's magic.
It is
with a K.
It's insane how much, when you do an entire birth chart, you can basically print out a book on somebody and articulate things about their personality, about your own personality, that you can never do yourself. Right. It's so precise. When you get something good and you're working with the right programs or the right astrologers and that really understand it, it was insane. Especially relationships. I could break down people's relationships. I could break down people's personalities, their shortcomings, where they need to go in life, where they need to stay away from. It was a fucking cheat code. I'm I couldn't even do it with relationships because I didn't even want to know. I'm I want to experience this shit.
Right.
It's if you already know how the movie ends, do you really want to watch it, Right. And so I was this is too much. This is almost too much, It was even with events, because Vedic astrology will tell you events in your life that are going to happen. Right. I remember one time it was you're gonna quit your job because you can't handle it anymore. This was looking back, not forward, but back. I looked back. I look back and you're gonna meet this woman that's gonna be deceptive and this and that. And it's you're gonna do X, Y, and Z is Vedic astrology, and Western is more about the emotions of it.
Yeah.
And and so it was like, I was learning that, gave up everything. I was like, had this like farmhouse that I was doing this kind of like a commune type thing where I had people living there and they're supposed to be working, but getting lazy hippies to work is fucking pulling teeth. So it's like, that didn't really work. And then I was like,
here's a little bit of weed if you do the laundry.
Yeah. And then like, so I said, I started bringing them in. I'm like, okay, here's Monday morning meetings.
Yeah.
You do this. I can't do all that. I'm like, I gave them all jobs. I'm like, I can do all of these jobs in one day.
Yeah.
Literally.
You guys have cake jobs.
Like,
just do it.
Like, go dig a hole and put the fence up. It's like, what?
You want me to do physical labor?
Like,
what?
Can't dig that hole there.
This isn't a work camp.
Yeah. It was just like ridiculous. And then, because I was growing weed too for the longest time for a living, for a long time. Maybe 10 years, 5, like when it first started becoming legal and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you had all these medical license, 5-10 year period where you can grow. And that's when I started like basically making my living that way.
Here local?
Yeah. Yeah. In town.
Okay.
And then got out of it at the time where it was going like you had to have a fucking legitimate, a fucking government took full control over it because there was too much money for them. So, about that time is when I was at the farm, said I had a grow there. I had, doing indoor, outdoor, and then kind of like gave all that up, left that place because I was supposed to refinance it, left that place there, gave it back to the owner. And kind of went out and was touring the Northwest and was going to all these farms and like, I thought I was going to be going out there and learning shit. Yeah. And I was teaching.
Wow.
I thought, I was going to the especially farms. Like I was like looking them up online and be like, oh, they're doing this revolutionary shit. I'm like, I go there and I'm like, what can I learn? And I'm like, I'm going to end up teaching them stuff, know? Yeah. And then going to these little community centers and like teaching them how to garden or put these little beds in or how to use a drill or something like the most basic shit ever, right. And it's like, they don't know how to use any equipment. They don't know how to do anything like and that was, that was 10 years ago. And like the level of like the skill level of the average person is so low now, it's like, and you realize that, holy shit, like, but I see the trend more so where people are more curious about learning stuff. Yeah. Because if I post a video of a beautiful $10,000 table, $20,000 table, and like nobody gives a shit. Yeah. But if I sit there sanding, everyone watches. It's like so it's I appreciate that mindset that people are wanting to learn more so now, right? Than they are wanting. Which value learning more than beauty or something. Because that's what it is. Beauty, a beautiful piece, but I don't know how you got there. Yeah.
A lot of people like those, like the progress videos of like. Because like when I did shoes and stuff, I did shoes and I post pictures and people were like, hey man, you should have like an overhead video of you like making it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I don't have a camera that can do 40 hours worth of fucking work. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like a 40-hour job. Yeah. Yeah. So, I know and I thought about it at one point, ended up not doing it. And then I'm out of it now. But like, I was like that people were more interested in the process than the finished product.
Yeah, and that's a whole job in of itself. Yeah. Like setting up cameras and then... I
don't have editing skills. No. I have very basic editing skills. And as I'm learning as I'm going. So and it's like...
if I have to do a time lapse, it's on my phone. Yeah. So I don't have my phone now. I can't listen to music. I can't do anything. Right. It's just that time lapse video. So I try to do them and I know they're valuable, but like you need somebody there filming and or set up and doing... editing and
if you're doing if you get like just a normal camera, like a $400 or $500 camera, they only have 30-minute time limits on video. Yeah. You have to buy like an $1,800 fucking camera to do anything more than 30 minutes. Oh no shit! It's stupid. Yeah. There's ways around it, but it can void your warranties and shit. It's not worth it because if the camera fucks up, I'm not smart enough to know how to fix it. Yeah, I'm gonna spend that money fixing it anyways by someone else. So I might as well buy a nice one. Yeah. Eventually I will, but right now this is getting me by. Yeah. Because I like to be able to film this in higher quality with better video, better sound. These are good sounding right now, but eventually maybe later on. But it's just, I don't have that money to be spending on that video. So I understand on your aspect, if you want to make that, you'd have to go over there, do 30 minutes worth of work while it's videotaping, and then either have someone go and click it or stop what you're doing, go over there, click it, and then continue doing it however many times until you get to wherever you want to stop.
Yeah.
And then put all those on, figure out which order they go in, combine them all together, and then edit it down to a 30-second clip for TikTok or whatever. It's just like, fuck.
And then you do that sometimes and you're like, oh, this is an awesome video. And you get the 200 views.
Yeah.
You know, it's
6 likes.
Yeah. You're just like, man, fuck that, man. Like, I put so much time into that one.
Yeah.
And then the next time I'll just be like, blow off a piece of log with an air hose and post that, and it's like, oh, 20,000 fucking views.
Yeah.
You know,
like, what the hell?
Yeah, it just makes no sense. So I'm like, I just post trash.
The algorithm's so fucked up.
Yeah, or bet people, like, if you can do this like quick reward mechanism on your video, like a before after, like, you know, like blowing off a piece of wood if it's all dusty, and then you get a reveal, like a quick reveal kind of thing. And so, you know, I mean, because that's been all my marketing is through Facebook, Instagram used to be awesome. Now they screwed up those algorithms so fucking bad that I have to work. Like, I used to, like, when I first started 5 years ago, I'd get 300 likes on posting any fucking thing.
Yeah.
And now to get 300 likes, it better be the best goddamn post I've ever posted. Like, it has to be insanely good.
Yeah, I mean, that or you have to pay for it.
Yeah, pay for because like they
pay
change,
for your insight. Or your
they change
exposure.
their whole layout. It's like it's ad. You might like this, one of your friends. Yeah. Ad. You might like this, one of your friends. So it's like instead of every post being your friend and natural organic, and now they're going to reels and you know, all that. But
I miss it when it was in order, like chronological order. And then they changed it to just random. Yeah. Everybody was so fucking pissed. And then just got used to it. It's like, if you guys just stopped using it, they would probably change it back. Yeah. But they got everybody hooked.
Yeah. Now you're on it. You're still looking for the good shit. You're trying to relive the good days or something. Yeah. It's, you know, but it's still, even paying, like, you know, paying for the ads on Instagram are still profitable, are very good return on investment for me, though. Yeah. Like, if I put $100, I'm probably getting a job. Yeah. Several thousand, you know, $5,000-$10,000 job maybe. Yeah. But it's very marketed, and that's what they want, you know. And even though I hate having to support those, you know, those
fucking businesses.
Yeah, you know, Facebook and Instagram, Zuckerbergs and shit.
Fucking Zuckerberg.
At least he's did something, I don't know, whatever the fuck he did. Started taking testosterone or whatever the fuck he did. He's looking a little more human these days. So,
well, Elon told me he's going to beat him up.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh fuck, I can't fight him with this.
Yeah,
he started bulking.
Yeah. Even if it's even the same fucking guy, I'm like, I don't even.
It's a mask.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, it's funny because people will be like, what do you mean it's the same guy? I'm like, that one time Biden disappeared, he came back 3 inches fucking taller. Yeah. Different gait, different everything. I'm
different earlobes.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, that Biden. I'm like, how many times have Biden changed?
Yeah.
Like physically, like, and his niece is on, I guess, online, you know, supposedly, saying, this is Joe Biden's brother.
Yeah.
This is my uncle, so-and-so Biden, you know? Like, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Like the dude with the other earlobes is gone, and this guy doesn't look the fucking same. Right. And even people that know him, like Tucker Carlson, he's like, I love Biden. He's fucking fun to talk to. He's a nut job. He's like, but it's not the same fucking guy that it was before. Yeah. Like he's saying that, you know, on fucking his bigger platform now. It's just that it's like, what the fuck is going on? Because it's like, if you can't keep an open mind to like literally anything is possible right now, and that it's just not, if you're just trying to keep this attachment to the old world, you're going to get destroyed because that old world's gone. Like if you think you have a 401k and retirement,
some of that stuff's not even old world, it's just being brought to light now, or new world is all being brought to light now. But like a lot of those old, like a lot of the people like presidents and high profile people, they all have clones of them.
Whatever that might mean in reality.
Yeah,
like,
well, yeah.
We don't know exactly
or
what
a doppelganger or whatever. They have stand-ins for themselves. That way, if something does happen, it's not actually them that gets hurt or shot or whatever it may be. And obviously, you can tell, like with the Biden thing, for instance, and then like with the Epstein thing. I don't know if you saw the Epstein alive and Epstein dead on the gurney. Yeah. Like his earlobes were attached. Yeah. And then in the other one, they're normal earlobes. And it's like, that's not the same guy. His nose looks different. His earlobes look different. Yeah. But that's supposedly Epstein on a gurney. That's not him. Yeah. You can tell.
I mean, like the fact that like, for one, that people aren't accepting the narrative is awesome. But like, cause there's like, you can look at things that they just don't add up. And like he sure the fuck, like all this stuff, even with the official narrative, you can't believe that because it's like, in this maximum security, but the cameras were down and like this bullshit ass stories. Like the more you look into anything, you're just like, oh, this is absolutely bullshit. Yeah. Like
if you read the headline or the newspaper article, then you won't know anything besides that. If you start actually diving into it, looking at old tweets, looking at witness testimonies or witness wording or things they're posting online. And obviously you don't believe everything you see or hear. Yeah. But take it and then you start, connecting the dots and putting this web together of these different things. And then you come to your own conclusion. You go, yeah, something doesn't smell right. Yeah. And then I think a lot of people, if they start doing that more often, you see a lot more red-pilled people out there that actually start questioning the narrative more. Like there's a lot of people that are still blue-pilled that are still questioning the narrative. They're right on that edge, but they still watch NBC or ABC or Fox or whatever the fuck it is every day.
Well, you see, like I like to keep like a finger on the normies, like even Tim Pool, very much a normie. He'll is like that person that like, it has to be so overwhelming through official dime still. Yeah. Like it's like he's still that typical normie, but even that typical normie is so more knowledgeable or aware of things that are happening. Yeah. But they still don't believe the other stuff that you can't prove through the officialdom. Yeah. Has it come out and said? Yeah. Like they have, the government hasn't released a statement.
Yeah. Here's not just one document that just states this is true. Yeah. Yeah. You have to come to your conclusion like anybody else that's an investigative reporter or investigation, anything. Yeah. You have to investigate, do your own due diligence, and then come to that conclusion on yourself.
And then some people,
when I tell people like, hey man, we've been modeling the weather for years, people go, oh, where does it say that? Yeah. I'm like, well, look at the patents. They've been doing it since the World's Fair in the fucking 40s. Yeah. They've been doing it, and they even came out and said they have the technology to do so. Yeah. Like, well, that doesn't prove it.
All these patents.
What the fuck are you talking about? It doesn't prove it. Yeah. They go, well, the government didn't say that. And I'm like, well, no shit, the government didn't say that because they're the ones doing it. Yeah. Why would they admit fault to something that's potentially globally disastrous?
Yeah, and it's a war. That's why they say like the new wars are over water. And you're like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. When the government's telling you the next wars are going to be over water, and we're getting dumped on. Yeah. Yeah, everything's about water now, huh? It's kind of funny. You told us that the next wars were going to be about water.
Look at these fucking hurricanes that just happened.
Yeah, just wiping
Obviously
shit out.
Warfare against its own people.
Yeah, and in very strategic locations where there just happens to be lithium mines and where
smart cities have been
already proposed and ready to go. And, it's
same thing with Hawaii.
Yeah. Wipe out Hawaii and like these and then
here's $650. Sorry for your loss.
Yeah. We'll take that land.
It's like, bitch, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's just
and that's technically because there's natives of Hawaii. That's technically a genocide.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But they're going, Columbus killed all these people over here. That's genocide. We fuck Columbus. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, the government did the same thing over there to the natives in Hawaii. Yeah. So why don't we fuck the government?
Yeah. Because they're the exact same thing. Told to do that. Yeah. You're not. MSNBC is not telling you to go after them in Hawaii when it was clearly something like some fucked up shit. The way that they're trapping people in and not telling them. And
and
just,
you're not allowed to have any media come into this area because...
And it's wiped clean from social media.
Yeah.
Like, to even find that shit on TikTok or Facebook now, people talking about it.
You gotta dive real fucking deep.
You gotta really look for it to find even the North Carolina shit, how many people are really dead over there. And I'm like, this is way bigger than Katrina. I'm like, look at this shit. Like, I was watching it live, it was funny because I was watching it all live. Next day, it's not a trace of it on my damn feed.
Yeah.
I'm watching it nonstop. How the fuck is it not there?
And you can literally see the hurricane take almost like a 90-degree turn.
Oh, yeah.
If you're tracking the that they don't do that naturally.
No, and all the meteorologists like, this is really weird. I can't explain it. Like, all the meteorologists...
They go, this is a rare instance that this happens, but it does happen naturally, by the way.
Yeah, no, but the people, the guys... just the meteorologists at home watching it, the ones that aren't on TV, because on TV they have to
do the narrative,
propaganda, or make it sound like it's just fucking perfectly normal, and all the ones at home are doing their own little thing on
they're like, what the
TikTok,
fuck is going on?
This is not. I've never seen this in my life.
Yeah.
Like,
that does not happen.
Yeah, this is not natural. It's like, and the shit they're doing, and it's just like,
well, don't they have either footage or some type of trail now of cloud seeding planes flying through that area?
I know they had
I saw something
that traced it. The plane, laid the path and then it went that path.
Yeah,
that plane. It was like it just happened to go that perfect route, and that's where the route of the tornado went.
And of course, they ramp up HARP at the same time.
Yeah,
to make it more destructive than it normally would be.
Yeah, and it's absolutely
because
insane.
they got dues.
Yeah,
and they have people don't know this. A lot of people don't know this, but they have a thing called the Rod of God. Have you ever heard of those?
I don't know.
The Rod of God is a scary fucking thing. So they have these high altitude, I want to call them satellites because, I don't know if you believe in space or not.
No.
It's kind of a whole different thing.
Yeah,
but they have these high altitude satellite type things that drop these basically gigantic fucking, they look like railroad ties. They're made of steel or iron or some shit, and they drop them from that height. But they're a lot bigger, and they drop them straight down with tremendous accuracy. And as soon as they hit the ground, they create like a small, almost nuclear type explosion that kills everything in the area, but it has no fallout. And they can just say, "Oh, it was a fucking meteor or something," because it came from the sky.
Yeah,
they can just throw it as that. Same thing with like the dews. Oh, it was some oral something that just happens naturally in life.
Yeah.
So, but when I heard about those dudes, I was like, that's fucking scary because now they can just drop these gigantic, however big tons of steel or iron or whatever directly onto a thing, destroys a whole area like nothing. Yeah. Leaves a big ass crater, but unlike a nuclear fallout or even like a high amount of TNT, there's no radiation afterwards.
Yeah.
So they can just come in, clean up, and then just build whatever they're going to build.
Yeah. Well, that's the, people are, well, what do we do? I'm like, well, like the first thing is like exposure is the absolute key to everything. Like, because they can't do it if everybody knows that they're doing it, for one.
Right.
And like people are looking into, like, now they're going to be looking in, like they're going to be following these fucking planes, where they're going, where they're landing, who's filling them up, who's just like, because a lot of people are like, oh, the government's doing it. Well, not technically, because technically the government just hires subcontractors to do all their dirty work.
Right.
So all these subcontractors are doing it, so they're off books, basically.
Yeah, the black budget.
Yeah, it's all these things. So like you hire them, and they can do whatever the fuck they want, and they can develop all these technologies.
Because they don't have to answer to anybody.
No, they don't have to answer to anybody. And it's easy enough to fund it through these war scenarios, and give people money as it's like, that's why they're still paying them. That's why they have to pay off all these, global war efforts. It's like,
that's why they keep sending money into Ukraine and all this shit.
Oh yeah,
it's all money laundering.
Yeah, Ukraine is the origination of the Khazarian mafia.
Yeah,
like that's where all the the original name stealers came from. That's where they first started infiltrating all of the organizations and people and killed off the dark skinned Jewish Israelites that left the Middle East brown and came back white. You know. Yeah, there was the Khazarians. They killed them all off, and because they've been.
And that's why Russia doesn't want anything to do with them.
Well, they threatened. Russia's the one that threatened them. That said, if you do not find God, we are going to eradicate you. 800 years ago. Yeah. And so what they do? They became Jews. Yeah. So they started becoming fucking Jews because they're like, well, these guys are the only ones that allow usury. Yeah. And they allow for, and they think they're the chosen ones, and the rest of the world's just cattle.
And not only that, but nowadays you can't even talk shit about a Jew.
Oh, you can't even say that shit, right? So you know there's a problem.
And there's a reason why the whole World War II Nazi thing happened. Was for that very reason.
Yeah, you start looking into all this stuff. You're like, well, why can't I say that? Like, what? Okay, you're going to tell me I can't say it, so now I got to know. Yeah, because I didn't even know. I'm
something I can't do.
Yeah. I grew up and I was like, oh, you're anti-Semitic. Growing up, I'm like, I don't even know what a fucking Jew is. Yeah. I don't have a fucking clue. So there's no way. And you're telling me that Hitler was racist, but he's killing white people? Yeah. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. Like, the whole thing didn't make any sense to me. And I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to get it.
Well, if you look at Semitics itself is like a region, and there's a bunch of different types of people. It's not just Jews. Yeah. You know, it's like certain African tribes are Semitics, and certain part of Europe and Asia part of people are like Semitics. Yeah. Yeah. Just like the Caucasus region and all that other stuff. They're different people. But the Semitics, like if you're anti, they're not killing them because they're Jewish or whatever. Yeah. You know, they're killing them for a certain reason. And if that even happened. Yeah. You know, but that's like when Kanye, we'll get into the whole Kanye thing, but he was like, you know, you're being anti-Semitic if you're talking shit to me. But he's like, I'm not even Jewish. But it's because his ancestors came from that area or whatever, you know, so he has that bloodline in him. Yeah. If you're talking shit about him or hating on him because of that, then you're being anti-Semitic towards him, even though he's not a Jew, because it's more than just Jews, you know, but that's just the term. Now it's just that buzzword.
Yeah, the buzzword that they could throw on everybody, like you're racist, you're anti-Semitic. Like it doesn't mean anything. It's like
not when they throw it around like that.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't have that. It was.
Back then, if you said someone was racist, you're like, no, I'm not racist. Yeah, nowadays, you're like, you're racist. I'm like, oh, fuck you, bro.
Yeah, fuck off. Yeah, I'm like, like
not that I want to be racist or anything.
No,
and I'm not by any means. But if you're just throwing it at me, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it's like it means and to them it means everything. Like let me explain to you why you're racist. Like what do you mean? Explain to me why I'm not. Like shut the fuck up. Like
my brother's dark skinned because we have two different dads. One of my best men in my wedding was black, and my officiant that married me was black. But now so I'm racist, though.
But now black people are racist. Well, if they're conservative, yeah. If they're conservative, they're racist too. They're and they call them every name under their sun. That
Uncle Tom's.
Yeah, like it's like get the fuck out of here with all that shit. I'm like, dude, and like it obviously it's all intentional, and even the whole Hitler demonization of Hitler, like. Bombarding my entire life. Like, I couldn't even go on fucking YouTube without seeing a hit. I'm like, I don't watch this shit. What the fuck is it on my feed all the time?
And we're not Nazis or fucking Hitler sympathizers because the guy's a piece of shit. Yeah. But there's something screwy going on with the narrative.
Yeah. I mean, like, and that's what they'll be like, oh, like, you don't think it happened? I'm like, it didn't happen the way they said it happened. Yeah. Okay. Like, if you don't get that, then you're fucking still mind controlled as fuck. I mean, like to question it and like you go back and like to question a lot of that shit that did happen and people are like, well, these things weren't gas chambers. There's no possible way they could have been.
There's no stacks.
Yeah.
The stacks were added after
so many things like that just don't add up and you're like.
And you can't kill that many people in those places that fast in that amount of time.
And there couldn't have been that many Jews in Europe at the time. There could have been 6 million. And there's this 6 million number. They just threw it out everywhere. Yeah. And you're like, okay, bad shit happened. We know that.
Yeah. And people died, of course.
Yeah, people died. But whatever happened in fucking Russia? What about the Bolshevik Jews? They killed 60 million Christians. Yeah. in the same fucking era, and there's not a peep about that.
Yeah.
You cannot find that shit in a goddamn
Well,
textbook.
how many nations have they been kicked out of already?
Yeah, they've been kicked out 100. Like in 1492, what's the saying, Chris? No, the Jews were kicked out of Spain. That's what happened in 1492. Yeah. The Jews were kicked out of Spain. You know that fuckers that came over here? They were Jews.
Yeah.
It wasn't fucking white people that colonized your. It was fucking Jews. All right.
Well, the thing is people talk shit about Columbus all the time, and yeah, Columbus wasn't a great guy, but here's the thing: he's credited with finding the West Indies because he thought it was India, and that's why they're called Indians. You know, a lot of people don't remember that from grade school. By the way, we learned that in grade school. At least I did.
Yeah.
But Amerigo Vespucci is the one that's credited with finding America itself, like North America. That's why it's called America, from Amerigo Vespucci. But there's been a lot of I don't want to say relics. I don't know the actual term, but things found even older than that from like fucking Vikings and shit.
Yeah.
And the people from during the ice bridge, during the last ice age, which wasn't that long ago, crossing over from Asia, like Mongolia and Russian area, coming over and settling in Americas through Russia, Alaska bridge. Yeah. So a lot of those people aren't even native to this country in the first place.
No.
But all of a sudden, now, because they lived here longer, they're natives?
Well, supposedly. And
how does that make any fucking sense?
And who is native? Because if you look into the entire slave trade story, it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
They could not have gotten that many people over here, the millions and millions of people.
Yeah.
There's no possible way back then, when you look at death tolls and what it took to ship all these people and the amount of boats and the infrastructure they would have needed.
Yeah.
So you're looking at it like, it looks like some of these black people might have been indigenous to America.
Yeah, they were probably already here.
And they're probably part of this Tartarian Empire. It's a Tartarian Empire. If you look at Russia, they still have paintings of these black people royalty, and there's still these remnants that weren't completely destroyed that show that these societies, even in Egypt, that there was mixed race societies and that there were black people involved and that they were royalty and shit like that. And like it looks more like that's more truthful, that they were here. And if you look at some of the stories, they were running to the hills because they knew the areas already.
Yeah.
Like some of these stories of them running, and they already knew the areas.
Yeah, they knew which way to go.
Yeah, they knew where to go. And you even listen to some of these Family Blood songs, like I think like Method Man or one of these guys is like, his ancestry is native to America. They didn't they weren't shipped here. They were already here. Like a lot of these stories are still there, and you look at it and you're like, that makes way more sense. And they probably like made a deal with the natives because they just don't do a good job of anything.
Well, and the thing is like people traveled the world for eons. You telling me that there's not one person from Mexico or south of Mexico that traveled north up and settled in America?
Yeah,
and then
the lines were always changing too. So if you want borders, like even before borders, even before this was an established country or established continent or North and South America were established, all those different indigenous people that lived in all like the Amazon and up in Mexico and even Canada, the Eskimos and Inuits and all that shit up there, they were all warring against each other anyways in the first place. And who's to say that some of those people weren't peaceful and moving along, and just because a lot of people were nomadic back then anyways. They didn't agriculture. They followed the food chain. They followed the buffalo. They had all that other shit. You know, their water source dried up. They went to another one and all that other stuff. So you can't tell me that none of those people ever overtook another person's land or anything like that. Well, that's even in the official narrative that they were warring with everybody. All the tribes the natives were warring with each other, and they were taking each other's shit. Like,
but as soon as some guy, the white guy, comes over,
that's a narrative.
Then all of a sudden it's a bad thing.
And even though the white people are the ones that established, they modernized everything, gave you toilets, gave you running water, gave you that utilized the wheel, that utilized these mechanisms to make life easier.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, yeah, but it's
and
just
they traded them shit. They're like, hey, man, if you teach us how to live out here, we'll give you guns to make your hunting easier.
Yeah.
We'll teach you how to build crops.
Yeah.
We'll teach you how to build houses that don't fall down during the winter.
Yeah.
You know, and all this other shit.
Yeah.
We'll let you fuck some of our women if you let us fuck some of your women.
Yeah,
and obviously there's bad people that did bad shit back then, but there's bad people now.
It's the same thing happening today that happened.
You can't demonize every single fucking person because of 1 or 2 or 10 or whatever bad people.
Yeah.
I can't demonize you because the guy down the street is a piece of shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Why? You guys don't even know each other or have anything to do with each other.
And that's the intentional side. And I remember that, like, that having those same feelings growing up, and it was embedded in the information that they were teaching us in school. I remember seeing it. I remember feeling this racism towards white people, this imperialistic bullshit, you know, like it was pumped in.
That white guilt.
Yeah. Like, you know, like, oh shit. It was like, but even that I was poor because some rich white guy somewhere.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that as a middle school. I'm like, I don't have everything because of some asshole over here in West Valley is taking advantage of everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I remember having those thoughts that they were embedded in me. Like, those were
of course. So did I.
Yeah.
I think everybody has at least one point in their life.
Yeah. Like, because it's so indoctrinated into everything. It's like, it's funny because it's like, it's not as obvious as it is right now, or maybe when Trump was running. Because I remember, like, it was more camouflage and subtle and just planting seeds. Yeah. But I mean, like in 2020, it was like 2 + 2 is Trump's a fucking racist.
Yeah.
In the textbooks were bad.
Yeah.
I remember people showing me the textbooks from YVC. Math, literally, it'd be like, yeah, this is because Trump's a racist. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? That's in your YVC textbook? It was insane, like how bad it was.
And it was printed in there.
Yeah, it was printed. It was all propaganda. It was all political propaganda. And it's like, I don't buy the whole system. I'm not fucking, I don't idolize any man. Like, I'm not, like, nobody's my savior. No. Like, I'm my own savior. I don't idolize anybody. And, like, we can sure as hell get into that, too. Like, I mean, especially Christianity, they're going to have a really fucking hard time because real information is coming out about, like, the Council of Messiah and you know, Christ is just the Krishna. And, like, it was just a hodgepodge of all this stuff that they brought together and made everybody... You know, there was thousands of religions in, you know, the 300 AD time frame, and they had to bring it all together. And so they started collaborating and had all these religious leaders come together and write a new book to bring everybody together so they can control everybody. Yeah. You know, and not that there's not, and see, people get this thing about faith and religion as one, and they're not the same at all. Like, you can have faith in, like, real science will tell you how the world really works and the good of people and all this shit, that you're not good because of, like, religious beliefs. People are inherently good. Right. People are bad because of, like, generally even the worst fucking people are good 99% of the time. Well, like, fucking Jeffrey Dahmer was a nice fucking guy most of the time. It's like most of the time people are good, and then generally they're pushed into a bad scenario or circumstantial or. And obviously there are psychopaths, psychopathic, and unfortunately those are the people that control the world are the psychopaths. They're probably inbred as fuck.
Well, it's because they're manipulative.
Yeah, and they need control. Yeah. You know, I mean, those people do exist, but it's incredible once you get rid of the bad apples, how quickly you can change an entire society. Like El Salvador. They're like the worst fucking country in the world. That president came in there, got rid of, imprisoned all the fucking bad people. Now it's one of the safest places on the planet. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's like, it's just getting rid of the bad apples and things change really quick. You know, it's like it's always a few bad apples destroying the entire thing.
Well, now we got thousands of bad apples coming in every day.
Yeah, well, and
I'm not saying that all the people that are coming across the border are bad.
No, I mean,
I am not saying that by any fucking means. But you cannot sit there and deny that there's not a single fucking bad person that's taking advantage of that situation to come across here and do harm. Well, because we're seeing it on the social media. Yeah, I'm not saying that you're saying. I'm telling them.
Yeah, I know you're speaking to the audience, like people listening, and even the conspiracy side is that. In 2013, Obama moved the MK Ultra to Central America. That's like public information. They call it what do they call it? The fucking the best mind program or something. You know, something.
The MK Ultra
really
never existed. Oh wait, it did exist, but then they got disbanded shortly after.
And they just renamed it. And So Obama moved the MK Ultra program, the 5th generation, 6th generation, to Central America, and so that's why they're bringing in all these Central Americans to be their new army.
Yeah, because all they got to do is say that word, or that phrase, or whatever it is that.
Oh well, how about you come work for us and you eat? Yeah. Like you have a job. You know, you'll do what we say.
You come up here. We'll make sure that you have a house and you got food.
Yep.
And you guys don't have to do jack shit except for what we.
And it's just like, I mean, even people property rights are human rights, and like if you don't believe in a border, you're manipulated, and even people that used to believe in it, it was only because they might have known Mexicans or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, that's just stupid. And I'm like, yeah, they're using it against you. Yes, they're using it as a weapon to weaponize people, to vote left and right. They're not legalizing people that should be, and we're not allowing citizenship appropriately. It might take 5-10 years for somebody that's legitimate, that's trying hard, doing all the right shit.
I know plenty of people that have come from Mexico here legitimately. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are pissed that these fuckers are coming in here and then just get handed all this shit. Yeah, and these guys are like, bro, it took me 10 years to get citizenship. Yeah. I'm over here working my ass off, providing for my family. Yeah. And you're telling me if I just waited 10 years, I could have just walked across the border and got handed all this shit?
And get paid.
Fuck, dude. Yeah, yeah. And they're not mad at us.
No.
They're mad at the people taking advantage. Yeah. And some of them, I'm sure there are a few people that down there that are trying to escape. Because Mexico, like their government's corrupt. They're run by the cartel and all that shit. Yeah. I would try to leave that place too. But
a lot of it's not even Mexico.
Well, yeah.
Mexico's nicer than a lot of places. I think you'll see an exodus to Mexico.
Probably here coming up pretty soon.
A lot of white people are trying to leave. I mean, Central America.
Well, why do you think people run to Mexico when they do something bad in America?
I mean,
they're not running to Canada.
It's a nice ass. It's like as long as you get away from the cartels or you're protected or if you're not in a rough ass area, it could be really fucking nice. It could be really nice, you know. And so even some of those cartel towns, like those beach resorts, are cartel towns. They are on the outside of that line, you know, like the cartels are back there with their machine guns protecting.
Well, the thing is they don't have to do anything because they've already got those. All the people that come in there for vacation, they're getting a profit off that anyways.
Yeah, they're making their money off of it.
It's basically a mafia situation. So they're going in there and like, hey, we won't come in here and fucking wipe everybody out if you guys pay us a profit.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, you guys got AKs and we don't. So, of course, we're going to comply.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that us Mexicans can own is 38 Supers. What the fuck is that going to do against a 30 caliber AR or AK-47? Fully automatic, nothing. Ain't gonna do jack shit.
Yeah,
that's part of the reason why some of those people down that they have it like up here. Obviously, we are limited more now than we used to be, but they're trying to limit our guns down because down there, the government or the cartel or whatever runs everything because they have that power, aka firearms, and they can push and bully everybody around. But the government up here can't do that because everybody's armed to the teeth. As soon as they start telling people they can't do that, and you can only own bolt action 22s. Yeah. Well, what the fuck's that going to do against a fully automatic M4? Well, not jack shit.
Oh, and it's not theory. Like there was just a DOD directive that went out that said that U.S. soldiers can now kill U.S. citizens on U.S. land. A directive that just went out.
The good thing is that I know that a lot of U.S. soldiers personally that would not turn on their own people.
No, that's why they would bring in NATO.
Well, of course,
the whole plan was always to bring in NATO
or UN. Yeah. You see a blue fucking helmet, you just shoot at it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what the whole goal. I mean, it doesn't
because they know their own military is not going to turn on their citizens. That's the whole reason they're in the military is to protect their citizens.
Yeah, and that's probably why they was.
So that's why they're going to ship them out somewhere else,
weaken our military,
and then have another military come in while ours are being sent over there and then just left there.
Yep.
defend for themselves like they did.
Yeah.
That was the whole that whole thing. What is it, October or whatever? Where Biden left all those people over there in the Middle East, left them their helicopters and all the information, all that shit. That was just a test run.
Yeah.
That was a test run just to see how easy it would be.
And they're doing it. It's still
and all
crazy.
All those people that are still over there are either POW'd or being murdered.
Yeah.
Because there's still people over there.
Yeah. I've
Our
seen
people.
Yeah.
And then you got Kamala saying, "Oh, there's no one being deployed or no one overseas right now."
Yeah.
And then you see those videos of all those military guys are like, "Where the fuck are we then?"
Yeah, we're here. We are here.
They go out of the tent. They're in the middle of the desert. What the fuck? We're not in America right now.
Yeah.
We're not deployed.
Yeah. If it's not scripted to some extent, it's crazier than it's like, like you see this shit and they're like, you guys are this. Like, it's almost like they're trying to tell you how much they're lying to you. Like this whole left side is like trying to expose something, right?
Yeah.
They're not trying. What the fuck? Like, how could somebody be that stupid? Like, Kamala could be like, "Oh, I'm the candidate of change and this and that," and be like, "No." And then the next week she's like, "No, I would do everything that Biden did. That's fine." Like, what do you mean? Last week you were saying you would have done all this other stuff and his shit's his economy shit and everything like that. Now
the thing is you're VP. You have the power now.
Well, but
why aren't you doing shit now?
Yeah. Well, they don't have any power. I'm like,
you're telling me the fucking vice president of the United States,
the head of Congress.
If you believe in the
the
checks and balance situation and all the government shit, if you believe truly that the vice president has not a single ounce of power, then what the fuck do we even have a vice president for?
Yeah. And when they are the head of Congress, they're the tie-breaking vote when she's the one that funded XYZ wars and this and that. It's like, or kiboshed other things, it's like, and she's literally, I mean, like, and Biden will come out and be like, "No, she has the same powers I do. I gave her authority to whatever she wanted to do." I mean, she's in control of the border. And she's like, "No, I'm not." "Well, I guess I am." "Yeah, I am." "Yeah, whatever." So what?
It's like, what? You don't even know your own fucking job?
Yeah.
You don't even know what your powers are or they extend?
I'm like,
obviously, we know that shit's all fake. It's all their facade to point the blame at somebody.
Yeah,
but the thing is like, come on, guys. Even if it was true and the president, vice president, all those people held the power that they that we're told that they do, like, why aren't they doing something then?
Yeah, they don't. And in the theater of politics is way more than the politics,
Theater.
Even on the local level.
You said it right there.
Yeah,
theater.
It's all theater. Even on the local level, it's all theater.
Yeah.
It's all theater. It's
same with war. War is called theater too.
Yeah. I
said this in my fucking second episode. This is 11th episode.
Yeah, it's
theater.
Yeah, it's all theater. And like people, I'm like, even at the smallest level, it's all theater. It's like it doesn't have anything to do with reality. And if you're just doing real shit, then nobody's ever going to hear anything and do anything and you're going to be invisible. If you're just doing real political shit, you're invisible. You should, like, there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
There's really nothing to do. Like, the best thing to do is nothing.
Yeah.
Like, all we're doing, like, I realized this too, going to me, I'm like, every meeting is taking somebody's right or money. That's it. That's all we're doing here.
Yeah.
Oh, which right do we take away today? Whose money do we take today?
Yeah.
Like, that's all it was. I'm like, how about we give people's rights back? Yeah. How about we have a sanctuary city against permits for business and development?
Yeah.
How about we do that? Just allow business and development to take place. That's the only thing we can do as government to develop a community.
Right.
Get the fuck up out of the way.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing we can do is get out of the way. We don't do shit. Yeah. Government doesn't do anything. It's the people out there working.
Yeah, they just collect money.
Yeah. Like, we just hinder them. Like, governing. That's literally stopping things from going. Yeah. That's the whole governor is reducing something. That's the entire definition of government is to reduce.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not to promote and blah, blah, blah. It's just get out of the way, like a little bit. I mean, like, yes, you can't hurt people. No, you can't destroy the environment.
Yeah, of course, there's things that need to be governed because there are people out there.
And protect people's rights.
Yeah.
But we're not protecting people's rights when you tell them, "Oh, you live here, you can't do that. You can't have this business here. You got to pay us this fee." And it's all this hidden stuff too, because
you want to build a lean-to onto your house, your property that you own? Yeah, we can't do that without permit money.
Yeah, because technically you don't own it,
Yeah. Well,
taxes,
of course not. Yeah.
Like this whole property tax going up is
it's all bullshit.
It's blatant fraud. It's collusion and fraud at the state level.
Yeah. My house right here.
Yeah.
The state or the city owns my sidewalk.
Yeah.
Right? I can't do anything to that sidewalk. I can't alter it. Yeah.
No, it's an easement, yeah.
But if I don't shovel it, it's my fault. It's liable. It's like, well, why aren't the government that is supposed to be taking care of it?
Yeah.
Why aren't they liable for it?
Yeah.
Well, it's on your property. Oh, my property now. So this is my property now, but I'm giving you money for my property?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
The road is your property. Everything from the road back to my property line is my property that I paid money for.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys for wanting to charge me to live on my property.
Yeah.
The fuck what are you guys even contributing towards my property with that money?
Yeah.
Or making sure your roads are clean. Well, how hard is that? I can go out. How about this? If I shovel my own road, will you guys stop charging me money?
Yeah.
No.
Well, the thing is, like, there's a bunch of lawsuits right now that are happening because it's. I mean, like, you can obviously question property taxes, and if they're not constitutional and all this shit.
Right.
But what they're doing now is worse than that. It's blatant fraud.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what happens now. The state has a budget. And they tell the assessor, we need X amount of money. So, like, if it's $10 billion, make sure we have $10 billion in revenue. So that's why your property taxes increase exponentially year over year. And so here's the breaking point. So government has to inflate or it dies.
Mm-hmm.
It has to cost. So you can't inflate past appraised value.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have a tiny bit of a deflationary period in real estate, government dies. They're bankrupt. Yeah. And so that's what's happening now. Right. So you can't just keep inflating. They can't put money into people's hands without just fucking bombing the entire system right now.
Right.
And you see it and people are like, well, I don't see it. But like, well, that's because it's all in credit. People are borrowing. That's why you don't see this huge decline in economic output or whatever, because it's all on credit. Credit's up like 50%. It's up insane amounts right now. Yeah. So it's like you're looking at this ticking time bomb for the entire system. And the good thing is that government collapses first because it can't keep up with inflation legally because it can only spend so much more per year. So when hyperinflation's kicking in, they can't legally go buy the stuff. And if it deflates a little bit, then they can't get the taxes, and the people are going to be suing them. The people are suing them now. They're looking at this like nationwide class action lawsuit to get all the numbers and to put all this shit together. And that's what needs to happen is these lawsuits, because there's even people questioning right now these awesome lawsuits that are happening, like that are questioning the jurisdiction of all courts.
Yeah.
Because in the Constitution it says that the Supreme Court is the first court. And it should be the only court, and like all these other things are not even. They don't even have jurisdiction over us.
Yeah.
And then so now it's like this kangaroo, like on all levels. It's so unconstitutional, and people are actually trying this stuff in court because it just takes that one supreme level judge to be like, yeah, that's constitutional. You can't be doing that. You don't have jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And start setting up these lawful courts.
Yeah.
Because
once you open Pandora's box, it's done.
It's over. Yeah. And like people are actually putting forth that effort right now. They're everywhere.
Good, because they should be.
Yeah, it's hard.
You have to question your government.
Yeah.
You have to fight them.
Yeah.
Tooth and nail, because it's not only your right, but your duty.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's
especially in this country.
And especially now, I mean, and you could say it's. I mean, you can. The funny thing is, like, you can't overthrow government, but you can overthrow a corporation too.
Yeah.
And so, but there's so many ways to do that.
But it even states in our Constitution that if the government becomes corrupt, it's our job and our duty to overthrow it.
Yeah. And if you go to court and they'll be like, did you say you wanted to overthrow the government? Well, if I did, am I going to jail? Because that proves that the system's so corrupt that if I wanted to overthrow like my constitutional duty, that you would throw me in jail. So therefore, you're proving the point that I'm making, that this system's so corrupt that I can't even say it's so corrupt.
Right.
It's like it's
a catch-22.
Yeah, you're like
they're at a gotcha.
Yeah.
So if you say no, then this. But if you say yes, then the same thing.
Yeah,
So it's like either way.
Okay, we're going to throw you in jail for threatening to overtake the government, even though it's your constitutional obligation.
Yeah, it's considered treason or traitorous, and it's like, dude, that's our job. That's my job.
Yeah,
is to make sure that you guys die right now.
Yeah, and people, and it's what they want. Obviously, they clearly want us to revolt physically.
Yeah,
and luckily, people are too weak and too sick to do that. And they're just like, I gotta work still, or whatever.
Well, what they do is they get one or two high-profile people, and they make an example out of them, and scares everybody else into not doing it.
Yeah.
Especially with the whole Alex Jones thing.
Yeah,
I'm not an Alex Jones fan. He's gotten some things right. I think he's was it opposition, where he's controlled opposition.
Yeah,
I think he might be. I'm not 100% sure, but. The fact of the matter is that guy, regardless if he claims bankruptcy or not, he's paying all those dues the rest of his life for his God-given right to say whatever fuck he wants to.
Yeah, and it's not
obviously there's you can't do whatever you want or say whatever you want without consequences. But the fact of the matter is he was, I guess, harassing them verbally, but that's not a law technically.
Yeah, I didn't dive too much into the whole Sandy Hook or whatever it was, and
I didn't do Sandy Hook, but I got really deep into the Las Vegas shooting.
Oh yeah, well because there was substance there. There's so much substance, and there's still substance coming out of helicopters, of shots coming from helicopters. And
I have video footage on my phone and 3 other places that are secure of the audio footage and the video footage of helicopters or something flashing from a helicopter out of the sky, and the sound coming up with the exact same, I guess, rounds per minute as an M240 machine gun rather than a bump stock AR-15.
Yeah.
You know,
the whole bump stock.
It goes do 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 do. AR-15s, even with the binary trigger, bump stock, or fully automatic, it goes a lot faster. It's a lot higher rate of fire because it's a faster gun. It's a smaller gun. M240s are bigger, a lot more moving parts. You know, so do.
You can hear that. Yeah.
And you can blatantly hear it.
Yeah. And everybody that's understood. I mean, there's this guy. There's a guy with Coolant or something. I forget his name, but. He's still putting out information on the Vegas shooting and the Trump assassination attempt. Yeah. That these rounds, bullet shots, they don't make any sense.
Right.
From standard narrative. Whatever you're saying, whatever projectile went down that back row, has 4 points of contact. And it's not the same as this guy over here.
Right.
And there's just too many indiscrepancies that, and even Trump came out on a podcast the other day and was like, who's behind it?
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm going to give you breaking news right now. He's like, basically he said the FBI didn't investigate, did they? The FBI just didn't investigate. They didn't investigate this assassination attempt. They didn't investigate this.
Yeah.
And he basically just left it out. He just threw it out there that.
Did you hear that
the FBI is behind
Joe Rogan's going to have him on?
Yeah. That's it's going to be a huge temporal marker. That's part
I think that's going to change a lot of people on which way the shit's going to swing.
It's not even going to be voting. It's going to be this diversion into
if something doesn't happen to either of them first.
Before. Yeah. But I think it's going to go off, and I think it's going to be the iconic moment where we go from this old world into the new world of sci-fi world.
Yeah.
Because he's probably going to pressure him on technology and UFO, tic-tac UFOs, and whatever else they're going to do is going to be a major shift temporally in societal things where we'll probably look back at this thing and be like, holy shit, like the stuff that he was saying there makes so much more sense.
Right.
And even the kinetic, the wars and the whatever the fuck is going on up there in area above us,
Yeah.
It's like, because you can go out there and look, if you're out in the country, you can go out there and look and see that there's tic-tac-toe type things flying around all the time.
Yeah,
they are just like, boop, 90-degree turn.
Well, why do you think they want people in cities where the lights are
polluted out? Yeah, for all kinds of reasons. But you could, when you're out in the country,
that's one of the main reasons.
Yeah, when I lived in the country, I'd go out and sleep in my yard or go out and lay in the front yard and be like, what the fuck? What kind of shit's flying around up here?
Like, you see all kinds of shit.
Like just 90-degree turns, traveling at thousands of miles an hour, like it's nothing. Like
you don't hear anything.
No, they're
so far. Because at 1,000 miles an hour, you should be able to hear at least. Well, I mean, they're really far up, but even if it was close, you should be able to hear at least a sonic boom.
No, they're completely. And I got into some of that technology because like Kozarev and all these other people like Russian scientists were, and probably a lot of the Nazi scientists were studying this shit and how these spacecrafts would move, and you don't have the same gravity inside or buoyancy density like what you were saying with the turning and the
magnetics
mercury
and all
the
that
magnetics.
Shit.
It like creates this environment where you don't.
It's
feel
like it's a temporal space where it's like you
don't have the G forces inside.
No, it's very still. Minute.
Yeah, you don't
anything.
Feel that stuff. Yeah.
It's crazy technology. It's way past what any of people nowadays.
Yeah, that's why
I'm have like, any knowledge about.
And I'm like this whole Elon Musk thing. I'm like, obviously he wouldn't be getting all this money if he wasn't buying into some propaganda. His name is Elon. Elion is the highest of highs, coincidentally. And he's just getting all this money, funding. Yeah. He's promoting these fake-ass rockets when he knows good and well there's tic-tac-toe UFOs out there.
Well, there's a lot of people that think he's like the new Messiah, too.
No. Yeah.
Like he's the leader. He's going to be the leader of the new world, the free world.
I mean, I think that was his goal.
Yeah. If you look at that movie, I, Robot, all that shit's happening now.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
We got AI. We got self-driving cars.
Yeah.
We got the robots now.
And the guy's saving us, right?
Yeah.
It's like always the guy saving you.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a problem, and then
weird. The guy saving you is always the guy that's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. And he's creating all this technology.
Movie. And they're like, oh, it's just movies, and it's like, didn't you guys ever learn anything from any movies?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like,
you watch a scary movie. And how many times are you yelling at that person, don't go down there, don't go down there. And guess what? That happens in real life. What are you going to do? Not go down there, right?
Yeah.
You're going to leave.
Yeah, you went down there.
So you didn't learn anything from that fake movie? You're telling me you didn't learn anything from that fake movie?
Yeah. Well, even the cars, too, like they're frying people's nads. Like the EMFs, the electromagnetic frequencies that are in these electric cars are frying people's brains and their reproductive systems. And
did you see that Obama movie? On Netflix.
Civil War or something?
Yeah, whatever it was.
No, I haven't watched it. I saw it on there, but
I don't support Netflix, so I had to yo-ho-ho it.
Yeah.
And I watched it because I wanted to. I didn't watch it for entertainment reasons. I watched it for like research reasons.
Yeah.
To kind of see what propaganda they were spitting out. And it was blatant racism propaganda.
Yeah.
And then blatant like China's going to take over the Americas or whatever kind of propaganda, or some Middle Eastern, or I don't know the exact language that was in there on the flyers. And then the fact that the Tesla cars were all driving and crashing into each other.
Oh, that was the Civil War movie? I did watch that movie.
Yeah. So no, it wasn't called Civil War. It was called,
okay. Yeah, because there's a new one, Civil War. Okay, and I watched that one.
With Kirsten Dunst or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
Yeah, that's the one I watched. Yeah,
I watched that one for some entertainment and then mostly for research purposes.
Yeah, I watched with the same intent. Okay, what are you putting out here? What's the goal? And
anything political like that, I look for research purposes. Other stuff, I have other movies and other things that I watch for just strictly entertainment.
Yeah,
I don't
and have you been into that, like this thing, why they put it out there? They put it out there because they know that we are creators. We're manifestors.
We're this predictive programming.
Well, plus we're manifestors.
Yeah.
So if you put it out, and like they put it out there so you help create it in reality.
Yeah.
Too. So like, because I was like, I always got into like the whys. I'm always getting into the whys. And why would they put it out there? Well, because it helps them. You help them manifest it by you knowing it it's in reality. You think it's reality, and you're doing all the stuff that they want you to do.
It's very what they call esoteric.
Yeah, on the esoteric side of it.
Yeah. So because a lot of people don't know this, or if you do, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know, but the powers that be, they have this karmic value that they believe in highly, and if they tell you essentially either through entertainment, song, or just blatantly tell you what they're going to be doing, and you don't do anything about it, that karmic value, that negative karmic value gets pushed onto you. So they have no negative connotations on their soul or their side because they told you what they're going to do. So if they put out a movie saying, hey, we're going to start a civil war between the left and the right, even though it's entertainment, they had a hand in making that creation or creating that movie. So even though they had that negative karma on them creating that movie, because now you, the viewer, are watching it and they're telling you blatantly what the plan is or what they're going to do. If you don't do anything about it, when it comes to their beliefs, when it comes to judgment time, you are in the wrong and they're okay.
See, that's the original thought that I was under too before and that it just didn't settle.
That's kind of more like an archaic version of.
Yeah. See, and the when I knew all that stuff and I it just didn't really make sense to me until I learned no, they're telling you so that you help them manifest it.
Yeah, because they believe in manifestation too.
Yeah, see, this karma thing, I'm because they are living on. They literally are. I mean, it might not be that exact same soul or whatever, but their bloodlines sure the hell are.
Mm-hmm.
So, they are definitely living on, and that's why they're trying to inbreed and this and that, and that's why they continue to stay in power. So,
well, and a lot of them come in knowing this knowledge because it's taught through their generations that they're part of something bigger, and this is your role in the hand of what needs to be done during your lifetime. Yeah. We're going to put you in positions of power. You're going to get this done, and then eventually you'll die.
Yeah,
that's going to be fine because your great-great-great-grandson or grandkids are the ones that are going to be in charge of all this shit. Yeah. So it has nothing to do with them now. It's a long con, and it's been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years through different families.
Yeah, and you look at people and they tell you like Bill Gates was just a pop up in his garage, started from success from nothing.
Yeah.
You're like, his dad ran Seattle. He was a fucking mafia hitman. He ran the show in Seattle. And you're like, these people aren't just fly by night.
And that's if you believe lucky. He was even a boy.
Yeah. If you go deeper into it, you're like, okay, who is this guy really? Or who is this person? It's like
Bill Gates.
And all these people come from this. They just so happen to be involved with all these other people that were already running the show, and they just happen to be given the keys to success, the right contracts with governments, all these scenarios just happen to work out perfectly, and you're like, they were selected for that shit.
Yeah, you're telling me a nerdy kid that had really bad hygiene and was borderline autistic at one point, probably even is still now, had the know-how to take a computer that the government didn't even know what to do and create an operating system for it. That sounds really fucking far-fetched. Well, and now he not only that, but he made billions off of it. And now all of a sudden he's a doctor.
Yeah.
He's telling you, hey, get the shot.
Yeah.
Because it's good for you. What the fuck do you know anything about health?
Yeah.
You made a shitty operating system
that operated the same way as this virus.
Yeah.
Hey, you
create viruses for your computer, you get create viruses for people.
And the solution.
And then you sell the solution.
Yeah,
weird.
Same business model.
Just with people instead of computers now.
Yeah, and it's and then you realize that
the Gates Foundation's getting sued by different countries because of going over there and
they're kicked out of they're killing off people and and Zuckerberg too. He was part of the MK Ultra program too.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing that at their whatever college they were at. They were running the MK Ultra and with all these tech CEOs, they're the ones that were already programmed to do the deeds.
Yeah. He created Facebook for the military, for the FBI,
he's the same way as Bill Gates. He stole the product. Zuckerberg stole the product from his roommate or whatever too.
Yeah.
Like they both had this very similar type scenarios. Like the geek on the outside that stole the product from another guy they were working with that was the brains of it probably. Yeah. And they're the
like Einstein.
They're the muscle.
Einstein stole the shit from Tesla.
Yeah,
a lot of shit from Tesla
and
other people too. But he was working at the patent office, the U.S. He was working at the patent office, and he also worked for the post office at one point. You're telling me that fucking guy?
Well, and then what was it? Who's working with the light bulb, right? Edison. Yeah, Edison stole all Tesla shit.
Yeah,
and they gave Edison the money because they were going to be able to monetize his system, and Nikola Tesla's was all free energy.
Well, it's free energy, but not only that, but the very first light bulbs that were created, they're still going.
Yeah.
They're still on.
Still functioning,
yeah. The ones now, they last, 6 months, a year? Maybe.
Yeah.
And they're going from all incandescent, which is actually decent for you, to fluorescent or LED, which is terrible for you.
Yeah. And they're banning incandescent bulbs.
Yeah, because they're bad for the environment.
Yeah.
Anything bad for the environment is usually okay for the environment. Like this whole carbon thing. Carbon tax.
Yeah.
We live in a carbon-based world, right?
Yeah,
everything is fucking coming from carbon.
Yeah.
If I die, guess what's going to be coming off my body?
Yeah.
Carbon.
Yeah. And guess what I pump into my grow room so it grows better? Carbon.
Yeah.
CO2.
Yeah.
Like I pump that in.
The plants love carbon.
Yeah, I'd have a CO2 generator or pumping it in with tanks and I'm like, and like you tell this to people like that as a kid, you can break it down to kids and be like, and like the more carbon we have, the bigger the plants we have.
Yeah.
The more food we have.
Right.
The more life we have.
Wow, isn't that a weird concept?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it.
If my fucking 6-year-old can understand it, why can't a 26-year-old understand
greenhouse gases, you're like, no, those are elements. Like they vilified these greenhouse gases to sound bad.
Greenhouse gases? You mean that thing that we put in plants? That we put plants in to make them live?
Yeah.
Greenhouse?
Yeah.
You're telling me all those gases inside that greenhouse are killing off those plants? Oh no, they're not.
They're killing off the people. Are they killing the people in that greenhouse? No. Everything's flourishing, and you have this in some of my grow operations, I had this 30 by 100 grow outside that was literally just had 10-foot walls around it.
Yeah.
And it had its entire ecosystem in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like grasshoppers would grow like this big, this stoned out of their fucking minds.
Yeah.
But they would grow huge grass because it was on a floodplain and I had cattle next door and I was below them. So all this runoff and everything, I was
getting
down
fertilizer
in this,
and shit.
Just awesome fertilized area and perfect spot to grow. And
that's kind of like that's a very basic form of permaculture right there.
Yeah, it was like this whole system, where
because you got that natural runoff from them giving you nutrient rich water, and coming down, and then it's
and the plants were. I mean, the grass you couldn't even pull it out of the ground. The grass was just
the
so
roots are
thick,
deep,
and the wildlife. I mean, I'd just walk up to grasshoppers and cut them in half.
Yeah,
because they would just eat the stems and shit. But you would just have, and the animals loved being in there too because it was just like this. It created this ecosystem, but that didn't even have a roof. Yeah. That was just by encasing it a little bit, and and then
keeping some warmth in there. And whatnot.
they just the demonization of carbon dioxide, and it's like I think I remember the point where I believed a lot of that shit.
I think we all did at one point. Yeah,
you're so just uneducated and just.
Yeah. Or educated.
Yeah, educated in a school system where these things were evil, and then you start to think about what it is, and you're like, how is that bad? How is a fucking steak bad? How are cow farts destroying the planet?
Yeah.
And even Trump came out and said they wanted to ban cows. I'm like, yeah, they do. Like they've been talking about this for a long time. It's not him just making something up. I'm like, yeah, they've been telling us cows are bad for.
So over here, cows are bad, but over in other countries, cows are sacred?
Yeah.
How does that fucking make sense?
Yeah.
Well, they don't eat them over there. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, but they have thousands of them or millions of them just like we do.
Yeah. I used to work with a lot of Indians when I was doing my coaching and shit, and they'd be like, I'm like, if you don't want to look like a vegan, stop being a vegan. Like, I mean, they're all puffy and swollen and shit, and you're going to have to eat meat, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it will change your life. Like, it changes my life.
For people that hate meat, they really like to make their shit look like meat and taste like meat.
Yeah. It's
like, just eat meat, man.
Beyond Burger. Beyond stupid is what it is.
How about this? Instead of going to the store where they probably get it from some kill shelter or kill factory, why don't you go to like a local farm and buy your meat? At least you know where it's being raised, what they're being fed, and that they were killed.
Yeah.
You know, they lived a life outside instead of in a
there's so much
cage.
propaganda with nutrients, and I'm like, I'm like, a vegan will post something online. I'm like, oh, you can get all your nutrients. I'm like, you can't get all your nutrients. They're not bioavailable forms. Just because it says vitamin B12 or something, it's not the same form of. There's several forms of all these things. It's not the
natural form.
It's not bioavailable. Yeah. So like, there's all bioavailability of nutrients and like amino acid profiles, and there's just all of this shit that comes down.
Fatty acids and all that other shit.
You can only get that stuff from meat. Yeah. Like you can.
You're telling me omega-3 that was built in a fucking lab is better than the omega-3s from a fish.
In the balances and but because it's like, but you can't isolate anything either. Yeah. Like, okay, a fish has all these other vitamins and minerals in it with the omega-3. Yeah. So you functions properly. Yeah. And then like you just start throwing in pills. Like, most vegans will have to take every supplement known to man. Yeah. You know,
all these multivitamins and shit.
And try to if I get food sourced from all around the world, if my food travels fucking 10,000 miles on average, I can get it. Well, how much does that make sense? Or I could just eat a steak. Yeah. Or I could and be healthier. Yeah. You know, it's the dumbest shit ever. And it's like, and your damn crops are killing every fucking animal in that ground too. That monocropping is killing off all those varmints, all those snakes, all those animals. So you're, no matter what, you're killing animals. Yeah. So just eat a steak, be happy, have a rational thought for once, you know, and don't be a fucking maniac, because I don't argue with them because they're psychopaths. Like, most vegans are like one step away from losing their shit. Yeah. You know, like, you say the wrong thing to a vegan.
Because they're malnourished.
Yeah, they're malnourished. They're angry. They're hangry, you know? Like, they are literally, like, I'm like, I would tell you, but I don't really want to get into it right now. Cause
I get it to an extent. Like, don't eat meat for every meal. I mean, you should have veggies. You should have fruits. You should have certain fatty things like oil, like not oil, but like butters and dairy and cheese and some grains and shit like that. The food pyramid that we have is all fucking fucked up and flawed.
Oh, you mean
the propaganda pyramid? But you should be incorporating some of that stuff into your daily ration of food. You should have some type of veggies, whether you not like veggies or not, doesn't mean raw, cooked, whatever. Some fruits, probably less fruits than there are veggies.
See, I'm even, the more I get into it, the more I'm not I don't think that veggies are an essential part of a healthy diet. Right. Vegetables are not.
Well, it depends. A lot of greens, I think, are good. Probably.
Well, not necessarily. They have like high oxalates. They have high phytonutrients, which are anti-nutrients. Mm. So like they have their role. Like they have a role in a diet. Yeah. And like so, like I would take
because I like spinach. It's got vitamin K and all that. But it
also has a lot of oxalates in it. It's like the highest oxalate like and vegetables aren't even a thing either. Yeah. There's roots. No. Like, fruits are a thing. Vegetables are just this made up word that encompasses every plant.
Yeah, it's like either the root, like a potato, or a carrot. Yeah, or like or like a part of the actual plant itself.
Yeah, but there's no category. Like celery. Yeah, because there's no category. They just encompass all this shit into vegetables. Yeah. But like, the more I got into it, the more I'm realizing that these phytonutrients, these anti-nutrients, is what they're doing is like, yeah, maybe if you need to pull something out of your system too at times, or you need filler foods, like, because that's when you would eat them. In nature, you might get a little leaf and like herbs and stuff like that would be considered in that vegetable category, which have some medicinal uses and like
basil, oregano, all that shit's good for you.
A lot of that stuff has a lot of uses in it, and like I think that, but if you look at most vegetables or plants, they all need to be fermented to be healthy.
Yeah.
And that's what like a cow stomach does. It ferments stuff. So it takes that process of it changes the structures into being in a usable form.
Yeah.
So like people are like big on vegetables. We've all been programmed to believe in vegetables, and like it's like, well, what are they really? They're just a piece of a plant, but is that plant really good for me, especially in today's modified version?
GMO shit.
Yeah, because 150 years ago, that didn't exist in the same form whatsoever. Yeah. So it's all new to our diet. So the only thing that's remotely the same is heirloom stuff, you know, like
heirloom tomatoes.
Yeah, like even heirloom wheat. Like I have to it's hard to find, but like einkorn wheat, like making that stuff, you know, like
we have einkorn.
Yeah, einkorn is great. You know, you eat that, it's not the same. Like
we bought a couple different styles of wheat berries, and then we've been grinding our own wheat because I bought my wife a mill.
Oh yeah,
yeah. She loves it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get more into is just getting those products, because it's not the donut that's bad for you. It's the chemicals inside, the way that wheat was made, the bromine in the wheat, the glyphosate, the astrazines, and it's like, but a donut can be,
and then the fake sugars,
the
glucose or allulose or whatever the fuck they want to throw in there.
Yeah, whatever they're.
It's like, oh, it's a sugar-free donut.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're telling me it's not it's even less natural now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Now it's like, yeah. I'm like, just eat. Like, that's why I'm like, I'm not like opposed to having, like, you can make your own chips and be just fine. Like, especially if you use tallow and you're just whatever. It's like a little more calories, but you're not going to eat as much. You're not going to be addicted. You're going to have some filling inside. You're just not going to have the negative shit that they're putting in this modern food, you know, like.
And as long as you stay somewhat active,
you can get
burn this shit off.
You can get away with, calorie wise. If you're eating natural foods, you don't really get that fat.
Yeah.
Like if you go back 100 years, like 100, little more than 100, because they were introducing these seed oils, Crisco and shit. Early 1900s was when they started introducing this stuff. So, but if you go back then, the fattest guy on the planet was like 400 pounds.
Yeah.
That would go to, he was a freak show.
Yeah.
Like, that was the fattest guy on the planet. The world's
fattest man.
Yeah. He was
Come
400
see
pounds.
him for 12 cents.
And he was thick. He was fucking built, you know?
Yeah, he was muscle mostly.
And he didn't have tits.
Yeah.
Now, everyone has fucking tits because estrogen is out through the roof. Like, I even have to watch my estrogen, you know? It's like, I have to really pay attention, you know, but I'm on
Stay away from that soy shit.
Yeah, like, but I mean, like, it's in everything. It's
yeah.
Like, if you go look at any rapper, it's like, what the
soy lecithin or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah, there's just so much crap in there.
May contain soy. Yeah. Why does that have soy in it?
Yeah, and everything else, just like, I mean, the seed oils, they all are endocrine disruptors, you know? So, like, that's why you can decrease your calories and not lose weight, but then you eat natural foods and eat whatever you want, and your weight starts to dropping.
Yeah.
You know, you're eating more calories over here, but
it's higher quality calories.
And you're not disrupting your body's functions because your body doesn't know what to do with all those other chemicals, so it stores them and it doesn't release them.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't burn them like fat. Like animal fat,
right?
Your body can store it and burn it.
You got to detox that shit.
Yeah, you got to really, I had to, fast to get it off.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, just cut your calories. Why? So I can fucking starve all day and not lose any weight?
Yeah.
Why don't I just not eat? I'll lose several pounds.
Yeah. But then you'll feel like shit.
No, I mean, you're...
Well, it depends on how you do it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, minerals, keep your minerals in, and, I would even, bump my caffeine and keep my energy higher. Take even pre-workout shit back then. But doing those things, I've done a 30-day fast, so just to see if I could, I'm like, if they said Jesus did it, and might as well do it, huh?
I'd get lucky if I do a 10-hour fast.
Yeah.
I love to eat.
But you get over that 24 to 48 hour thing is the hardest part.
That's what I heard.
And then you break through that wall and you're like, this feels good, and you realize, oh, I didn't need that, and you like have this mental clarity about life in general too.
Yeah.
So it's that spiritual side too.
I heard it's kind of euphoric.
Yeah, you feel more euphoric when you start burning the fat.
Yeah. That's why some religions do it.
Yeah,
Because it kind of gets you closer to.
Oh yeah.
Not nature or God, but just that higher sense of.
Oh, you realize
something.
You realize how much bullshit things are and how little you really need.
Yeah.
It just changes your state of being for sure, and it's free. It
Right.
can be free.
It brings you back to your primal state, I think.
Yeah, and
because your body's kind of going in that fight or flight kind of mode, because it's not eating. It's kind of almost starving itself, but you're killing off all that bad shit in your body.
Yeah, the autophagy that takes place. And,
yeah.
And it's just...
So you have a heightened sense of awareness, heightened sense of thinking.
Yeah.
That euphoric feeling from your body,
Because your body wants to go hunt,
Yeah, yeah.
You do want to go hunt. And, you're going to have adrenaline too, because you're going to be tired, but you're probably not going to be able to sleep all night, so... But it's like... if you just use that as a tool to add in places, and I always tell people it's a skill. It's not something you can. Some people can. Some people jump right into a fast and stop eating. I'm like, my first one was like 16 hours. I skip breakfast. Like I'm starving at lunch, and the next one I skip lunch, and then the next time I skipped the whole day or something. You kind
of wean yourself into it.
Yeah, like if you're, and that's kind of
almost kind of depends on your health too, probably.
Yeah, because like especially if you have a lot of parasites, like they're gonna, as soon as you stop eating, they're pissing in your brain and giving you a headache and telling you to eat. Yeah, so like all of these things that have factors, and like reasons why to use it, and it's a great tool to have and to utilize, and like it's like, and I think it did so much for me, like health wise too, and like, cause I remember I did this like 10-day fast, came back on, my food was like raw salmon and a bunch of ginger. And I ate that and like literally flushed my kidneys out. Yeah. Like I pissed out silt. Wow. I'm like, what the f- is this? Like, so like it flushed my kidneys too. And I'm like, and so like, and you'll see that you'll start to get like hydration back, and you're able to hydrate, and like all of these things that start to change, like in your physiology and stuff. So it really does start to change your mindset towards the world, and just like
it changes your chemical makeup inside your body too.
You're changing that physiology, the chemical makeup, and you realize, oh, I don't need that. I don't need this. I'm okay not to eat, like an addiction to eating too, or like this like fear, you can get over that fear of not eating too, because
you think you're going to die, because you're told you can only live 3 days without food.
Oh yeah. And really water too. It's like, and I have this conversation with people that are like, I drink water, I don't know why I'm so dehydrated. I'm like, water doesn't necessarily hydrate you or dehydrate you. Minerals with some fluid will hydrate you. It's like, that's why salt is so important. Like, that's why the saying, you're not worth your weight in salt. It's like, it's so important, especially like having a high mineral salt is so damn important. You can get a big chunk of your minerals right there. Just bam. Yeah. Put them in your mouth in the morning, whatever.
You don't necessarily need a lot. You just need enough.
No, and like, like I think 5 to 10 grams a day of salt is the baseline. And the more salt you have in your diet, the longer you live. Yeah. Too. And so like all these doctors are telling people, cut your salt. You have high blood pressure.
Well, it probably has something to do with the quality of their salt too, though.
Yeah, because table salt's only like a third of salt.
Yeah, it's crap.
Trash. Yeah. Iodized. It's iodized. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, we get that Icelandic flake salt.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you the salt before we leave.
Yeah, we got this flake salt right now too. It's really good. Yeah. Yeah, and I made some cookies too the other day and threw it in there, and it's like,
I just throw like on top, or like when I make a steak, I'll throw some of that flake salt on top. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's so much better. Yeah. Because I was doing like the Baja Gold. And this, Baja Gold I had last, and that was strong. That's a stronger salt. Like, even though it's only like 70% sodium chloride, it's a strong tasting salt. Like the flake salt is good. Like, you get to throw it in there. And
my kids love it. We give them salt every day, and my wife and I take salt every day. Like I said, I drink it. I do it every morning with my drink.
Yeah, my 10-year-old really likes it too. I mean, like trying to get my other people to realize how important salt is. It's like it's stupid. Like some of the stuff that you can do for your health. Yeah. It sounds simple as eating a little. It sounds too easy. Salt. It's too easy to be true. It's like,
but if you talk to anybody, that's outside the narrative, like all these naturopath doctors, or even like nutritionists that aren't like the traditional nowadays nutritionists, like old school nutritionists, or even botanists or anything like that, the old school doctors, they'll tell you like food is going to be your health and the quality of food and what you eat. And some of those things they're telling you, like butter's bad, salt is bad, this is bad. Chances are that shit is good, because guess what? That doctor that gets paid to make sure that you keep coming in,
write scripts.
He's only telling you what he was taught in school or what he can look up on his little WebMD, special WebMD.
They have like a 30-minute class for nutrition.
Yeah.
That's it. For like an MD, I think it's like 30 minutes of nutrition. Yeah. That's it. Like, I mean, like, I remember going in there trying to give my kids advice. I'm like, this fat doctor that clearly telling my daughter because she's constipated to drink more water and this and that. And I'm like, take a laxative. Like the advice is like, it's ridiculous. I'm like,
right. It's like he's just pulling shit out of a hat. It's like, do this and do that.
Yeah. Drink more water. That's going to help you shit. Yeah. Like, no, it's not. I mean, like, if your body is so congested and in those situations, like, I mean, like I'm big on, I'm an O blood type too. So like, I think there's some validity. I don't think there's enough studied about it whatsoever. Like one doctor did it and it was like, it's garbage. I'm like, there's some validity to it. Like you can be a blood type and just naturally like a lot of these foods on this list, and the A's over here like those foods. It's a weird thing, huh? Yeah. Like how you just naturally gravitate toward those things. Like my mom, my stepdad, he's like a B or something, A blood type or something, completely opposite of me. He'd be like, "Oh, pinto beans, the nastiest thing ever." I'm like, and now I started eating. I'm like, I love these fucking things. Yeah. Like I put them in my meals and beef, pinto beans. I'm like, I make this beef, pinto beans, sauerkraut, sour cream, sriracha, and it tastes like I'm eating a 7-layer burrito. Yeah. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, I can eat this every day. It's healthy. This is my healthy meals. Yeah. And it has all that fiber too. Like, I mean.
Do you make your own sauerkraut?
No, I haven't, but that's been on my mind recently. I was like, I definitely need to.
I made some of my own. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I know that homemade I've had homemade too, and I'm like.
It's actually super easy too.
Yeah. Is it just water and salt?
It's just, you just, the water, salt, and then something to weigh it down.
Really? Yeah.
And then you need to burp it.
Yeah.
But my wife, for Christmas, I think it was Christmas last year, bought me this kit from the Ball canning.
Yeah.
And you just put it in a glass jar, whatever glass jar you want, and you chop up the cabbage, put the salt on there, and then you could put like mustard seed, caraway seed, or whatever to give it some flavor. But you put it all together and you just basically just mush it until it just gets all that water, because the salt will draw all that water out. Yeah. And then you just start putting it in there with the water and the salt, and then you just make sure it's covered. And if there's not enough water in there, you just add some water.
Yeah.
And then you just put a leaf about the size of the jar on top. And then they have these little glass weights, and you just put it on top to keep it submerged so it doesn't grow any bacteria like mold or anything.
Yeah.
And then you just put this it's like a silicone top that has a little nipple on it. And then you just screw that on. And what it does is when that pressure builds up, it'll burp itself. So it's like low maintenance. Yeah. The only thing you got to do every once in a while is make sure that water level doesn't go down. And if it does, you just add a little more water to it. And then every once in a while, take that glass thing out and either clean it and put it in, or put another one in, or put another one, because it comes with like 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it took like, I don't know, in my house, it's like 68, 69 degrees year round. So it took like maybe 4 weeks. And then once you want the fermentation to stop, because you can change it, you can let it ferment longer if you want a stronger taste, or ferment less if you want a milder taste.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you just take that nipple off, take that glass off, put an actual lid on it, stick it in the freezer or fridge. As soon as it's in the fridge, that fermentation process stops or slows down, and then you just fucking eat it.
Yeah.
And you can add different seasonings to it or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck yeah, dude.
And I did it for and even the sour cream side of it, because like a lot of these commercial products are fermented to the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So you're not getting the good bacteria that you actually want a bunch of.
Right.
Because I was listening to a doctor recently too that was talking about this bacteria that's really hard to find now, but it was everywhere, and everybody that's thin, or they just give this bacteria to people and like just watch them lose weight,
Yeah.
And it's crazy just how much like a good gut, and that's what I focused on like for the last 2 years. I was like, gut health was everything. I'm like,
it's your central biome of your entire body. That's where
all
everything
the
starts.
Food, all the nutrition. I'm like, so I really started focusing on that, and realized, like where am I functioning the best at? And like learning, and what do I crave, and what do I like the foods, and which foods like have the beneficial side, and what do I need to start making too? Making my own sour cream too. Like I mean, like because that fermentation period, you're just getting every 4 hours, like it doubles the beneficial bacteria.
Yeah.
So like if they're only cultivating it for 4 hours and you're doing it for 4 days or whatever the time frame might be, you can get exponentially more beneficial bacteria there. And and so,
man, as soon as they stick it in the fridge,
and that's when it stops.
It just stops.
Yeah.
So when they go, this yogurt has this this great bacteria in it. It's like, but how long were you guys fermenting it for?
Yeah, not long enough. Not what
6
you
hours.
Do. Yeah.
12 days?
A bare minimum.
How long?
Yeah, I tried to look that up recently.
They pump them out as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
so like you said, bare minimum, it's just like, okay, it's there. Okay, now ship it out.
Yeah. Unless it's a super high quality
of
product.
Course. Yeah.
Just like, like when you order like a cheese from Italy or something, it's done right.
Or even like a local cheese place that's, as long as they do their shit right. It doesn't have to be like a big name brand place.
Yeah.
Because there's like a couple cheeseries like in Leavenworth.
Oh, yeah.
They make their own cheeses. And it's like, well, fuck, dude. At least I know I'm getting the cheese from like the direct source. I don't know what milks or creams or whatever they're using. But at least I know it's here.
And I mean, and that stuff you could taste it and know it's different.
Yeah, it's got different texture. It's creamier. It seems like that mouth.
I could tell.
Feel, I guess. I don't know.
Like
it's just weird, but it tastes good.
Like that Weinger's ice cream. That's different than other ice creams.
Yep.
Like I mean, like it's the vinegar, Weinger's, or whatever it's called. That stuff's totally different. Like it's a different feel, texture, quality, and like I bought this sour cream too. It was organic, whatever, and it was just totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like really good. It was like a different product. It's like, and like that's when you buy like heirloom vegetables from a farmer's market and you make a dish and everyone's like, what did you do to this?
It's like I used real food.
Use real ingredients. I'm like, ingredients are everything. Like when you have good ingredients, it's like you just throw, the recipe doesn't matter so much. I mean, you just throw a bunch of good ingredients together and make it properly, and it's going to be really good, and that's why I try to, instill in the kids, like, I'm like, because a girlfriend's daughter wants to be, or, baking, does a lot of baking. I'm like, what's the most important thing? Ingredients.
Right.
Ingredients, because like, and it's crazy though, because it's like, they'll damn near give you a 100-pound bag of flour, but it's a few bucks.
Yeah.
You got 100 pounds of heirloom of einkorn. That's a few $100s. It's
that's
like
expensive.
It's it's expensive. It's like a little bag is $15 for a 2-pound bag versus $1 or $2 for some poisonous flour.
Yeah.
But it's like it's everything, and I'm like,
my wife, I can't remember where she bought hers. I think it was like Thrive Market or something like that, or somewhere where she ordered it, and then they deliver it like once a week to a drop-off spot here in town.
Yeah. They have it at the Beams.
Yeah, they have one
at Beams or
there's one at Beams where she gets her raw milk from, and then there's another one that goes to Helms here in Sela that drops off like other stuff like I think we got our flour, sugar, and some other stuff from them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just a drop-off point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what? I used to work at Helms. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. I've seen more out here in Sela, though, farms and people advertising for farm goods.
Farm fresh chicken or eggs or...
Yeah, because it's getting so bad now that this off-the-shelf chicken is like, what is it?
Yeah.
Like,
people are like gray instead of...
It's falling apart. It's like stringy. It's like... It's just disgusting.
It's gray instead of like pink like it's supposed to be.
It's like it's not whole anymore. It's like you can see it's all injected, sure, but there's some problems, and it's like it's probably all cancerous and stuff. Oh, it's like you can see like this, and I'm like, so I'm trying to get like really like the highest, like the emphasis of mine lately is just sourcing the best food.
Right.
But you go from like you take a family of 4, you're feeding them for $1,000. You're gonna go to like $4,000.
Yeah.
Like $4 or $5,000 to source the same quality of food.
Yeah.
Or I mean, the same amount of food, the better quality.
Yeah.
You're looking at like $4 or $5,000 a month.
It gets a lot more expensive.
Yeah. I mean, it's just insane.
We're trying to do it in little increments here and there and try and buy bulk stuff if we can. Like, you know, the wheat berries or like good salt, good sugar, good this, good that, you know, the better versions of those. Yeah. And we'll spend a little extra money on those things. Yeah. And then, you know, that way we feel a little bit better about giving our kids this or that or something else. Yeah. And then we feel a little better about it. Maybe not health wise, but like,
well, that's why I'm like, I've never demonized, like sugar or sweets or, I mean, like, if they're made right, they're fine. They're okay. Yeah. Like in moderate, if you're eating your meals and you had a little bit extra, you're fine. But if you're eating these toxic side of it, then it's like a 10x worse. You know, it's like if I made my own chips out of an organic potato and some tallow and seasoned them myself with some good salts, it's like it's more calories, but it's not the poison side of it. Like that's the difference. It's like calories are calories, but it's so much different when your body can actually process those calories and not have to deal with toxins and
all the other bullshit.
Not have a potential heart attack because you had a bag of chips. You know, it's like
fuck.
It's insane.
That's crazy.
It's insane to me. Like
I can't believe that.
How I feel, like how I'm like tightness in the chest. I'm like Is this heart attack symptoms here?
It's the one. This is the one, man. This is the one.
Got me. I'm like, holy shit. And that's why, because we were always like big on like, you know, like having like, you know, we like these Mexican restaurant nachos, but I'm like, I can feel like, even with that, like something happening to my body that I don't like. I'm like, okay, I'll go the extra mile, make some stuff and do it differently. But like, and to me, it's just
make your own tortilla chips.
Yeah, with people passing, like, because they got a fryer. That's what recently got a fryer.
Yeah.
And so I started making stuff because I'm like, I still want to have the stuff, like have some of that cool, like fun stuff, but I just don't want to die because of it.
Yeah.
Like I'll be a little bit fatter maybe, or burn off more calories, or do more work, because like and that's the hard part too, is because, you know, like before modern times, if you're working a normal job, like you're burning 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day. Like you can't even hardly eat that much in your spare time.
Yeah.
Like if you're eating real stuff, real natural, grown, raised, whatever, you could live off ice cream and not get fat if you're doing a manual labor job.
Right.
Outside.
You're out there sweating your ass off.
Yeah. You're doing something.
Lifting shit and moving shit and
that's why I'm like,
something.
But now it's like, if I tell people I'm doing 3 hours of cardio, walking on the treadmill, I'm like, just fucking walking on the treadmill. It's not I'm not like killing myself.
Yeah.
Not running.
Yeah.
But if I'm just walking 3 hours of cardio, that's what you need to do. That's like, that would be a normal job. Like,
put your fucking headphones in or watch the TV thing if you want. At least you're getting some exercise.
And you feel so much better. I mean, like, at a certain point, you're going to break down your body, but at a 3 miles an hour, 3.3, I think I do. And it's like, I do it like an hour now. I started doing an hour. I'm like, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
I function better. I just have that clearer mind to want to eat better too. It's like hand in hand too when you start doing the cardio. For some reason, for me, it just puts everything in order for me. You know, it puts the rest of my day in order too.
Yeah.
Like doing that. Like if I don't do that, then I compromise on other things. Maybe,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I didn't do my cardio. Fuck off on the cardio. Now I can have this crap food.
Yeah.
Then the next thing I know, I'm feeling like shit,
Yeah.
achy joints. But then if I just do things a little different, I start feeling better. No achy joints. Life is better. And that's what like if I was to tell anybody, I'm like, even if you want to create something, like, well, for one, people that are fit make more money. If you have when I was fit, it's like every door opens wide open. People are going to throw themselves at you.
Yeah.
Like when you're fit, it's like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, I mean, like, it's just like crazy the way people treat you. And you're just, if I lose 25 pounds of body fat and just lean, everybody loses their shit. It's it's a different world. It's crazy. Like, and I get it. It's like, I mean, those were our gods. Like literally all the gods were all ripped, right? I mean, all the statues and that, and like you get treated like a god if you're lean, it's just crazy. It's just, it doesn't really make any sense to me. Like, cause I don't idolize them. Even though I follow bodybuilding and stuff like that, like cool. Like, it's like, I mean, to me, it's like the artist more so creating a sculpture with food and weights, more so than it is like idolizing. But I think that, I know built in there's this idolization gene that most people really, really like and adore and want to have, and instead outside of them and like all that kind of crap. But it's like, yeah, it's cool, it's fun. It sucks because you're always hungry though when you're lean. Yeah. So that kind of sucks. But at the same time, if you want to make more money, get lean and you'll realize how many doors open up. Yeah. If that's your goal. Yeah. Or just better business, or you want people's attention, or you want to open more doors to do more things, because that was always my thing, is like the money never motivated me to do anything. So I can't be motivated by money. Like, it's physically not impossible for me to do anything for money. Yeah. Like jobs, I just can't do them unless they're like, that's why I like taking on like the artistic things, because they get me inspired and I can work 40 hours straight if I need to, with tireless. And if I have to do something I don't like, I'm like, I can't even force myself to do it. Like, I have a couple little projects like that right now. Where it's hard to make myself do things that I'm not inspired, motivated to do. That's not creating something new. Right. That's not. It's just like there's nothing to it. Like, that's why I've been so open with people too about, like, my work is my soul. Mm-hmm. Like, in your work, everybody's work is your soul. Yeah. And that's why people that go to a job they hate for 40 years have no soul left. Right. Like, they're soulless because they just get that sucked out of them daily, like, whatever you do, whatever you produce, like, that's your mission in life, like, that's, like, your work is everything. Like, whatever you're working on, whatever you're doing, whatever it might be, whatever, even if it's farming or you're in energy work, you're an energy healer or whatever somebody is, like, if you're willing to sell your soul and go work at a job that's incongruent with who you are, you're going to pay for it. Yeah. Like, and that's why people are like, I don't know why I got this illness or disease or whatever, because you created an environment for your body to be diseased. Yeah. Like, you are the disease because you're not living the life that you want to live. And so you're going to be diseased. Like, especially in today's world where everything is toxic. Like, if you're not detoxing, basically getting in the right input, your body's going to tell you. Yeah. Like, it's going to be like, well, you're basically dying over here. Mm-hmm. So that's it, right? Like, okay, get cancer, or whatever, it's like, and it's hard though. It's hard to definitely do the things you want to do. And that's what I push for. And even if you have nothing, because I, 2 or 3 years ago, I started over from nothing with my business, literally nothing, no vehicle, no nothing, no tools. Wow. Like, I gave my ex-partner everything. Like, I mean, we probably built up over $100,000 in equipment, furniture, and this and that. And I just, I didn't want to deal with him, so I just walked away from it. Started it myself, by myself, no space even to build at. I think the first project I like redid in my front yard, oiled the table up and did a desk or something like that, and started buying the equipment I needed to do the jobs as they were coming in.
Yeah.
So you don't need a bunch of shit. Like, people always think you need all this X, Y, and Z and to start your business, but you just have to start, and as long as you can finish a job, you can take the job.
Yeah.
If you need to buy the tools as you go, maybe even like, I don't even think I really got. I mean, I got some of the stuff on like that pay as you go thing. If I can afford the entire one, because I always wanted to get the best equipment too.
Yeah.
But the right one, do the research.
Buy once, cry once.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's like I couldn't stand, like, we'd go down, like, buy some tools for my guy down, like grinders and stuff. They'd burn up in like sometimes hours.
Jeez.
Like literally hours from Harbor Freight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is obnoxious, for one. Okay, yeah, you can go replace it maybe for a few bucks, but to stop work and to go drive down there, come back, and whatever else is going on.
It's taking time away from your project, your day.
Yeah, and your flow and everything like that to have to run to the store.
And then that's extra money and gas, time.
Yeah, it just costs you so much to not be efficient and to not have good tools that are just ergonomical and just feel good, and you want to use them, and you don't need a lot to produce a lot. Like, if you're doing any kind of construction work, or unless you get into real specialty stuff, that's why I make rectangles. I make squares and rectangles basically, and just try to perfect that and have margins there. So, like, as long as I get a job or two a month, then I'm okay. I don't have a huge overhead. That's what one of my Jeremy Defoe, running for state representative, like, he was like, because I was talking to him about expanding, because he's a successful businessman. A real estate investor that literally sold off all of his Washington State real estate because of all the ridiculous laws coming in. So he sold off everything. But he gave me the advice to just don't overextend yourself. Don't get loans. Don't bring anybody into your business that you don't need, because you don't need it. And only get I started like in a storage unit. Working, I rented a storage unit for like $700 a month. Yeah. Nice. 800 square feet. Was working out of that for first year or two. Started building up all my tools. And because I wanted, and like, before I got a new place, I wanted, like, in my mind, I was like, I want to have like $50,000 in in furniture. Yeah. Go open up a gallery type of a spot, a showroom. Now I had those pieces, I had enough. I had the tools I needed, so I wasn't going to have to extend myself for more tools and a more expensive space. Yeah. So, it's just like, it was fairly easy for me to, marketing, doing all the marketing myself and stuff like that, but it was very doable. The state on your ass, and like every time you turn around, you have to have like a new insurance, and like everybody wants some ridiculous thing, and it's like if it wasn't for the state, I think people would be a lot more successful, but I don't let that shit get in your way, because
here we are.
they're just mobsters that are threatening you. What are they going to do? I had to, they're gonna you're not gonna be able to bank the same way. You're going to have to do things completely different, but that opens your world to a whole new way of life. Right. Like now I'm starting to work on like more of like trust. Yeah. Put everything in a trust, so your name isn't there. Because that's what we're operating on right now, is a civilian, which is a government employee by definition. Yeah. So we're United States civilians or citizens. Yeah. Government employees. That's why we have a social security number. That's why it's the same as an EIN to do business, so you can do commerce. That's why they're able to get away from all these laws, because we don't operate on natural law. We operate on commerce and maritime law and all this crap. So they're able to that's, the whole central banking system, collateralize us as debt and all that shit. So learning all these new things, and like how this debt's created, and how to even get away from it, and I've completely operated outside of that. I didn't have any credit whatsoever for like 10 years. I barely started even building my credit last year. Wow. no credit whatsoever. And I was able to get the spot downtown. I had to have a cosigner. I ended up building my credit, bought a new truck.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, I mean, but the only reason I'm going to use credit is to take advantage of it, you know, and because you can do a lot of things because all the credit system that they're working on right now is fraudulent.
Yeah.
So they're not, because they're supposed to, like when a bank gives you a loan, they're supposed to have that money to loan.
Yeah.
But what do they do now? You sign off your credit, you're the creditor.
Yeah.
And they go get the money from the Federal Reserve or through bonds or whatever, and then they give you your money back.
Yeah.
Because it's your credit.
Yeah.
It's not their credit, and then they charge you for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're supposed to have that asset in hand to loan it to you legally. So a lot of people are challenging them that. Yeah. Take the loan, prove where you have the money. Show me chain of custody of this money.
Yeah.
If you can't show me chain of custody, fuck off. I'm taking my house. I'm taking everything.
Yeah.
I'm taking all this stuff. So a lot of people are doing these things. I'm following them and learning a new way. And even to take our private vehicles back, ownership of private vehicles, and I think this is the way that's going to start happening. It's already happening, and that's why they don't like TikTok, because you can teach somebody this shit in 60 seconds, and you know it collapses the system when people aren't in the system, when they take back ownership of themselves, and it's not sovereignty, because you can't be a sovereign citizen. That's like an oxymoron, but a lawman or a statesman, you know, like all these different terminologies and methods that people are using, and they're successful of taking back their freedom and their lawfulness, you know, because that's what we need to operate on is lawfulness, not legalities and bullshit and them stealing our wealth. And that's what people are going to wake up to probably real soon, that all your wealth is gone. Like your 401ks are gone. They're already gone. It's a Ponzi scheme. Yeah. And eventually, like, because you can't take money out of a Ponzi scheme, it collapses. Yeah. So they're giving a little bit at the top, you know, but once the masses start retiring, that's why they move the retirement age up to 70. Yeah. You know? They're just prolonging the inevitable. Yeah. Yeah. They're like, hey, oh, no, yeah, you can keep working. You can keep, you know, give us a few more years, but that system's gone. Yeah. And like all that, like all these stocks and bonds, like how many of them did they really sell? Yeah. Who the fuck knows? Like they sold way more than they said. Yeah. You know, so there might be multiple owners of that same stock when it comes due, you know? Yeah. And there's just so much fraud that's happening in the system, and it's like, you know, they say it happens little by little and all at once. Yeah. And everybody's been saying it, and they're going to be like, oh, well, you guys have been saying this for years. Well, you had time. Yeah. You had time, and, you know, and it's like, but you had time to do all these things. If you're into silver, guns, you know, protecting yourself, learning the new ways, understanding maybe if it's crypto for a little while, you know, understanding blockchain and understanding all these technologies. So when things change, and they are changing, and that infrastructure is this new infrastructure is being built underneath, and people are doing things differently. And then, so for those of us that are talking about it, doing it, are going to be ready for the change that's happening like now. Right. So shit. It's 8:30. My wifey's texting me. When are you going to be done? Yeah, we're good. Yeah. Well, shit, man, that was a lot of information, a lot to unpack. Yeah. I mean, I could be doing this for hours, but probably cut it off here pretty soon because it's getting kind of late. Yeah, man, there's a lot of shit going on in this country that needs to be changed. And obviously, you can't do it by yourself. I can't do it by myself. I mean, we need like-minded people to come together to be able to do the change. But the thing is everybody just always they're busy or they're scared or whatever. So I mean, it's tough. So I mean, I understand on that aspect, but something does need to happen. Something does need to change, because the system that we're in right now is completely fucked, and people like you and I and just normal people are the ones being affected by it the most. So it's just kind of shitty, but and I think that people just need to realize the system's not broken. Yeah, it was intended to be this way. Yeah. So like, don't think it's fixable. Like, no, it's not fixable. It was made that way. Yes, it's made this way, and it's intentional. Yeah. And but I think that there's more hope now. I have personally more hope now than I've ever had in the past, that things are changing. I see the good things that are happening that I know have to happen to live in a better world.
Yeah.
To exposure. Like I personally didn't know about a lot of this stuff 5 years ago. I was saying a lot of stuff that people weren't saying 5 years ago, and then eventually they came on board. Now we're saying new things.
Yeah, the difference between conspiracy theory and real life is
6 days now.
Just time.
Yeah.
Just time. So
used to be 6 months. Now it's probably 6 days.
Yeah. Well, it used to be a couple of years or 10 years or whatever. And now it's just a matter of hours sometimes.
And then that's what the changing of time is happening in front of our eyes too, that people don't realize that time is now more instantaneous than it used to be. Like
with the internet and everything nowadays, people can tune right in instantaneously. Yeah. So they're getting that information as it's coming out, which is kind of nice. But the elite, the bad people are using it in the same way that we're trying to use it as well.
Yeah, they're trying. It's just so it's like a parody though.
Yeah.
For anybody that understands, it's like you're watching a parody.
Right.
It's like, is this real? Are these people real?
Yeah, exactly.
Like these people, they're literally hiring people on TikTok to be going out there and promoting Kamala Harris like she's some goddess. It's like she was the dumbest person on the planet 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Like she was like the worst politician ever.
All of a sudden, she's the white knight coming to save.
Or the black knight. Right?
Yeah.
The Indian knight.
Right. Well, shit. On that note, let's wrap this up so
right on, man.
You can get out of here.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm usually in bed like half an hour ago.
Yeah.
4 a.m. comes quick. But anyways, well, it was fun having you here, man. It was a good chat. A lot of stuff. I'm going to go listen to this all again because there's so much information, and you and I see a lot of eye-to-eye stuff, I believe. So I'm glad that we're on the same side of things, which is awesome. But before we go, do you want to promote anything while we're here? I mean, obviously you own Yakima Reclaim business. I don't know if you want to anything else or final words you want to say before we go.
No, I just, I think I said a lot, and, I think, who knows what will connect with people and what won't, but, I'm just, things are happening, and I know it's harder to find because, you look at things like free energy, there's, these videos, have, 1,000 views.
Yeah.
It's changing the fucking world. There's 1,000 views, but some girl dancing has 10 million fucking likes. And so, but these things are happening. They're just harder to see, and they're intentionally probably, but I just, things are happening. And if you look for them, you're going to have to look harder now.
Yeah.
But things are happening, and for most people, they're probably just going to think that they came out of nowhere when they happen.
Right.
When they actually are implemented and things get a little more kinetic or something like that, people are just going to be like, where'd this come from?
Right.
And it's going to be there. And then as the old system falls apart, this new system's right underneath of it. It's going to happen really quick. I think that this is the turning point that we're on this huge axis of the world changing right in front of our eyes, and people being like, what the hell is this?
Right.
And what are these cars? How are these cars floating?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And that travel too might be instantaneous here pretty soon too.
Yeah.
So things are going to get way more instantaneous, including travel. So it's a great time for people to be alive and, focus on your health.
Yeah.
Everybody. That's all I got to say is if you just only focus on your health and nothing else, you're going to be just fine.
Hell yeah.
So
I'm right there with you. I love it. That free energy thing, send that to me.
Oh, yeah.
I'll add it in the show notes so people can actually start seeing it.
Oh yeah.
And, and then, if you want, I can add your, business in the show notes so people can go straight to it.
Yeah.
Facebook or whichever.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, this was fun.
Yeah.
Let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope. That's good.
All right, cool.
Good. We had enough.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Have a good one.